Take your seat, please. We will be starting in just one moment. Please take your seat. 1 minute warning. Thank you. That'll be great. Okay. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Okay, Democrats, Good afternoon, Democratic National Committee members, and welcome to our spring meeting here in the great state of Louisiana. I hereby call this meeting to order. Please rise if you are able for the presentation of the colors by the Warren Easton Charter High School Color Guard Unit. I'd like to ask ASDC President Jane Klebb to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Chair Martin. And if you are an active member if you're an active member of the military or a veteran, if you would please join us at the front of the stage. Thank you for your courageous service to our nation. And may God bless all the members of the military that are serving, and for all the moms and dads and husbands of wives of our families. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Someday.
At this point, please welcome to the stage Vice Chair Shasti Conrad to introduce the invocation.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Members, please join me in welcoming Pastor Tom Watson with Watson Memorial Teaching Ministries, who will lead our invocation today. Thank you, Reverend Roslyn. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am a member of the military, so thanks for honoring us. I couldn't make it to the front. I would have probably tripped down trying to run out of here. 13 years in the U.S. Army, made it to the rank of major. Proud veteran. Thank you for having me. I know you've been welcome to our city. I'm a native New Orleans, lifelong Democrat. Do me a favor, the way I do prayers is a little unique. Could you do this for me? As close as you can to the person next to you, put your hand on their shoulder. And metaphorically and in real time, don't squeeze them, don't fall on them, don't ask for their phone number. Welcome to New Orleans. Look, what some people don't know is the greatest prayer that Jesus prayed, and I respect all religions. I am a Christian, obviously, but the greatest prayer he prayed is not the Lord's Prayer. Some would think so. The greatest prayer on record is from John 17, and the theme of that chapter is that we be one. I'm a teacher preacher, so can you say one? And in my culture, one of the things I try to remind people of is that, particularly in this very trying time that we're living in, that we should always try our best to remember the spirit of oneness, the spirit of togetherness. There's a statement I make all the time that we don't lack resources, we lack togetherness. Somebody shout togetherness. I know somebody is already saying you were called to pray. Why are you preaching? Just give me a second. I'm going to get to the prayer in a moment. I'm setting the atmosphere for the rest of your stay in New Orleans and for the midterms. Do I have a witness here? I know I would get you there. Togetherness will get us through the midterms. There's a cultural term that I use on the road and at home called Harambe. In Swahili and in East Africa, it means we are pulling together. On the count of three, I want you to scream Harambe. 1, 2, 3. Harambe. That wasn't loud enough. I need everybody in the French Quarter to hear you. 1, 2, 3. God works in threes. Do it one more time for all the children and all the people who are suffering in America and around the globe, some who are being slaughtered in this war for no reasons at all. Can you scream Harambe? Harambe. Your heads are bowed, your eyes are closed. Father, in the matchless name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we thank you for this great gathering in our city. the Democratic National Committee. Folks have come from near and far. My prayer is that they will continue to strategize, navigate, come up with creative ideas that will always bring us to victory. You told us in the word of the Lord in the book of Galatians chapter 6 that we should not get weary in doing well, because we're going to reap if we faint not. So we pray for strength, we pray for restoration, we pray not only for this, our state of Louisiana, we pray for America, we pray for the globe. We pray for the leadership of this great Democratic Party. We pray that the leadership will continue to grow and evolve, attracting even our youngest of people, so that we continue to fight the good fight of faith. Keep us all safe. Give us divine health. Bless the families back home of those who are traveling. Give us safe travel back to our various destinations. And let this conference be one that will be remembered for many years to come, that every takeaway that was established, every goal, every objective that was established will be accomplished. We thank you for this time together. Keep us in perfect peace in the matchless name and the strong name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Can somebody scream, Harambe? Harambe. Clap your hands and take your seats.
Thank you. Sorry, sir. Thank you, Pastor. Yes. So, with that, it is my honor to introduce another vice chair to give our land acknowledgement, to introduce our land acknowledgement, Artie Blanco. Artie?
Good afternoon, fellow Democrats. Now I'd like to please, join in me to please welcome Chairman Melissa Darden and Vice Chairman Melinda Buta of the Chitmawasha tribe. Thank you. Chitmawasha. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome to Louisiana. My name is Melissa Darden. I am the chairman of the Chittimacha tribe, federally recognized tribe here in Louisiana. This is Melinda Buto. She is my vice chairman of the Chittimacha tribe. We are the only tribe that still occupy our aboriginal homelands. According to oral history, the Chittimacha have always been here. That's something growing up, my grandmother always said, she said, we've always been here and, we're never gonna leave. This is our home. But for thousands of years, the Chittimacha and their bands occupied were stewards of nearly 1/3 of what Louisiana is today. The New Orleans area lies within 23 parish Aboriginal homeland. In 1718, after 12 years of war with the French, the Chittimacha, as a result of a peace agreement, lost most of our land, forced to consolidate west of the Mississippi. We now live on the Bayou Teche in St. Mary Parish. We currently have about 1,000 acres of land that we have our reservation on. I'm gonna let my vice chairman finish.
These land acknowledgements help us to reflect on history, but we do not let past events define us. And we do not fault anyone for the past. Today we have a thriving community with nearly 1,700 citizens, and we are blessed to still be here as a sovereign nation. Good luck with your conference, and thanks for having us. Hoo-yah.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you. Thank you to Chairwoman Darden and Vice Chairwoman Butag. I want to take this moment to thank our DNC Secretary, Jason Ray. Amazing Secretary, Jason Ray. We are all so lucky to be able to work with him day in, day out. And I know you all know this because he's your first point of contact at the DNC. He works tirelessly for this organization. And so I'm going to turn it over to our DNC Secretary, Jason Ray, for the determination of quorum.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and hello, Democrats. Hello. Welcome to New Orleans. Hopefully you've had a great time so far. I know since we last met in December, we've had some new members of the DNC family join us. So if you're one of our new members since our last meeting, if you wouldn't mind standing for a second so we can give you a proper DNC welcome. It was great to see so many DNC members the last few days as we had our standing committee meetings yesterday, as we gathered for the trainings this morning. If you missed out on the trainings, there were wonderful opportunities, and you're going to see us continue to expand those as we elevate and enhance these meetings. So there's more trainings tomorrow, our regional caucuses, constituency council meetings, so stick around and enjoy, have fun tonight, but also enjoy the meetings tomorrow. But with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to report that we do indeed have a quorum of members present today.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this point, I would like to welcome to the stage a powerful voice for the Gulf Coast. I'd like to welcome to the stage a powerful voice for the Gulf Coast, Louisiana's own Congressman Troy Carter. Please welcome Congressman Troy Carter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Democrats. And welcome to the great city of New Orleans. A city where the music never stops, where the food feeds your soul, where culture shapes the world, and where the spirit of resilience runs deeper than the mighty Mississippi River. So let me begin by saying New Orleans in our way. Bienvenue, les Noël, et bienvenue chez vous. Welcome, welcome, welcome home, welcome family. Welcome to New Orleans and welcome to the home of great people, great leadership, great love. Before I go any further, I want to recognize some incredible leaders who helped guide our party and strengthen our democracy. We're honored to be joined today by the illustrious leader of our party, Ken Martin. Former DNC chair and my dear sister in Louisiana, Donna Brazil. DNC Chair 2024, my dear friend of many, many years, Mignon Moore. DNC Associate Chair and U.S. Congresswoman, the outstanding, the incomparable, the incredible, the leader that always makes things happen, Joyce Beatty. My friend, my leader, my confidant, a great asset to our country and a great asset to the United States Congress and to this great party. My dear friend and colleague who will be coming out shortly, U.S. Congressman Jonathan Jackson, Congresswoman Auntie Maxine Waters, Attorney General Letitia Tish James, Attorney General Jay Jones, my dear friend and brother, the former mayor of New Orleans, Mark Morial, dear friend and Congressman Jason Crow. Carlos Espina, young DA President Fatima Hayward, DNC Vice Chairs, Jane Klebe, Raina Walters Morgan, Pennsylvania State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, Artie Blanco, Shasta Conrad. Please join me in thanking them for their leadership, their commitment to the Democratic Party. And let me say, yes, give it to them. Let me say how proud we are that you've chosen my hometown, the city of New Orleans, to have this historic gathering of the Democratic National Committee. New Orleans is a special place, and we welcome you. We appreciate you. We love you. We lead with our hearts. We bleed Democratic blue. I want to also take a moment to recognize our outstanding state party leadership that are in the room today, including Randall Gaines, state party chairman. Randall, you out here? Give it up for Randall. Katie Darling, his vice chair. And the incomparable Darius Lannis, the executive director. Where's Darius? If you want to see a party moving, you want to see somebody stepping up to the crazy stuff that's happening in Washington and, yes, at our state capitol here, Darius on social media all day, every day, calling it like, as we say in Louisiana, like a T.I. is. Give him a round of applause. This meeting is more than a meeting. It's more than a gathering. And it's more than what we ask you to enjoy while you're here in New Orleans, our food, our culture, our music, our entertainment. It's about work. It's about getting down to the business of demonstrating what Democrats do and can do best when we do it together. A statement that the Democratic Party understands that the future of America cannot be built while ignoring the South. Cannot be built while ignoring the South. A statement that the voices of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and communities across the South matter to the direction of our party and our nation. Arkansas, talk to me. Did somebody say Florida? We'll take it. I like it. I like it. Because the first time during my years in public service, the Democratic National Committee has never gathered here in New Orleans. Let's talk about the future of our country. Talk about the future of the South. Let's talk about the importance of the South, because it matters. Because the South is where some of the greatest struggles for justice in American history were fought. And quiet as it's kept, still being fought at this very time. In the state's capital as we speak, there's legislation making its way through the Capitol to take away elective offices for people who were duly elected by the people. This is America. We cannot support un-American acts that seek to take people out of office after the people have duly elected them. Not because they've broken the law, not because they've been indicted, not because they've been convicted, simply because a Republican governor decides, you won the election I didn't want you to win, so I'm going to now take your seat away. These are the principles that the Democratic Party has to consistently stand up for the good, against the bad, and demonstrate, as we do in Congress every day with my great leader, Joyce Beatty. We don't always have the votes, but we always have our voice. It was in the South that ordinary people stood up against extraordinary injustice. It was in the South that the civil rights movement shook the conscience of our nation. And it will be in the South where the next chapter of American democracy is written. And we need to write this next chapter now more than ever. Across this country, we're witnessing policies and rhetoric that are pulling America backwards. Under Donald Trump's leadership, we see attacks on voting rights. We see the efforts to divide Americans by race, by religion, and by class. We see attempts to weaken constitutional protections and undermine the very rule of law. When leaders attack the Constitution, when they threaten democratic norms, when they divide Americans against one another, that does not make America great. That does not make America strong. It makes America small. And right here in Louisiana, we feel the consequences. While billionaires receive tax breaks, working families across Louisiana struggle with rising costs. While corporate polluters make record profits, our coastal communities are literally losing land in the Gulf of Mexico, not America, the Gulf of Mexico. Communities are being forced to breathe air that isn't clean or drink water that isn't pure, not in America. We can have both, but industry cannot survive while killing communities. Industry can survive while taking the necessary steps to make sure that we're reducing our carbon footprint, that we're reducing the emittents that go into the air, that we're reducing the emittents that go into the water, that we are protecting the interest of communities, regardless of their voting bloc, regardless of their race, regardless of the strength they may have in the ballot box. Our coastal communities need our help. Our communities need our help. Our rural areas need our help. Our cities need our help. While some politicians talk about freedom, they're restricting the right to vote. While they claim to defend families, they refuse to guarantee health care and economic opportunity for the people who need it most. You know that big, ugly law? Ugly. There was nothing beautiful about it. Now, church, let me ask you something this afternoon. If you believe every American deserves the right to vote, say amen. If you believe working people deserve dignity, fair wages, and opportunity, say amen. If you believe democracy must be protected for the next generation, say amen. That's what this party stands for. That's what this party stands for. That's what we were built on. Those fundamental principles of inclusion, diversity, and equity. Doesn't have to be in that order. You, in fact, don't even call it that. Just make sure it's diverse. Just make sure we're included and make sure there's some equity. Now, you can call it whatever you want. You can say it backwards, forward, upside down. You have to say the words at all. But include every bit of it in your words and your actions. And for our friends who left us during the time when we were not in power, our corporate friends, you're going to have to come talk to us. You're going to have to come talk to us. Because we will not be the party that just says kumbaya after you've kicked us in the head. We're going to say, now prove to us you really mean it. That means demonstrate by writing big checks to the party. That means demonstrate by participating in our communities. That means demonstrate by fighting in our communities. That means demonstrate by helping our school children, our education and scholarships, fighting back environmental injustice, creating equality for all people. Demonstrate that you really are sorry. Not just in word, but in deed. I heard someone say the other day, well, Republicans are really hard on us when we venture off, so we've got to answer their bell. And I said, well, what about Democrats? Oh, well, you guys always take us back. It's a new day, brother. We'll take you back. We'll take you back when you come right. We'll take you back when you come demonstrating that you understand the core principles of fairness, equality, opportunity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Not just for 4 years while we're in power, not just for 8 years when we're in power, not just whenever there's a different occupant in the White House, but all the time, because it's the right thing to do. Let me say something to my friends in this party, and I'll say it with love. If Democrats want to win in Louisiana and across the South, we must believe in the South, not just in speeches, not just during campaign seasons, but we need investment in Louisiana. Investment in organizing, investment in local leadership, investment in year-round voter engagement. Because you cannot harvest where you have not planted. Can I say that one again? You cannot harvest where you have not planted. And did I tell you that Louisiana has rich, fertile ground? But we need farmers. We need seeders. We need investment. And I'll show you that this red state that you think is red is really blue. It's really blue when we're motivated, organized, and determined to go to the polls. And guess what? We can do this, but we're going to need your help. We're going to need your investment. And I've had this conversation with Ken, and he's saying, you've already told me all this, Congressman, but I'm telling everybody else now. Too often, we look at Louisiana and say, well, that's just a red state. But let me tell you something. We ain't red. Squint your eyes and get in the voting booth. We're blue. Squint your eyes and get in the voting booth, and we're blue. If you believe it, let me know you believe it. Katie, do you believe it? Give it to me. Do you believe? Do you believe? Ken, will you write the check? If you organize the communities, they will vote. If you organize the communities, they will vote. If you invest in our rural communities, they will vote. If you invest in our inner city communities, they will vote. If you invest in our young people, they will vote. If you listen to our young people, they will in kind serve. If we embrace them and include them, they will in turn support the mission, the cause. But we got to listen. We got to give them a seat at the table. You will see young people fighting to protect this democracy. And my friends, they will fight it with the vigor of blue all day long. Louisiana has a spirit. The South has a spirit. But the National Party must show that it believes in us too. You have to put some resources where your faith is. Invest in our organizers, invest in our leaders, invest in our communities. Because I promise you this, if you invest in Louisiana, we'll show you how much we appreciate it. If you invest in the South, we'll show you something. We'll show you an organizing that you've never seen before. We'll show you a turnout that you've never seen before. We supported the Saints through 100 losing seasons. But we kept showing up. And what did we say? We still believe. And we believe in this Democratic Party. We believe in this Democratic Party even though, if I can just be, it's a family meeting, right? If I can say the party hadn't always loved us back. But we believe. So there's room for you to still love us more. As we show that the road to the Democratic majority does not go around the South, it goes through the South. And New Orleans knows something about rising after storms. After Katrina, people wrote the city off. They said New Orleans would never recover. but they underestimate the strength of our people. And I believe some people are making the same mistake about our voting electorate in the South. They underestimate our resilience, they underestimate our determination, and they underestimate the power of the people when we stand together. Because when people stand together with faith, courage, and determination, storms may come, floodwaters may rise, but the people will even rise higher. Some enjoy the music, others enjoy the culture. Some enjoy the spirit of our great city. Some enjoy the weather. But remember what New Orleans teaches the world: resilience, faith, and the power of community. Welcome to New Orleans. Have a fantastic time while you're here. Have some fun. Let's get some work done. And remember, we cannot be beaten if we don't quit. And we ain't no ways tired. God bless you.
Let's hear it again for Congressman Troy Card, everybody. All right, thank you. Are you fired up? Yeah. Good. Well, good afternoon, Democrats, and welcome everybody to the DNC Spring Meeting. Welcome to New Orleans, this beautiful city, the Crescent City, the Big Easy. Thank you to our friends out there who have helped bring us together this week. Thank you to the city of New Orleans, to all these Louisiana Democrats, and I want them to stand up to be properly recognized. Chairman Randall Gaines and Vice Chairwoman Katie Darling and the rest of the Louisiana team there, all of the staff, their Executive Director Darius, everyone, thank you for putting this wonderful meeting on. I appreciate it. And thank you to all of you, to our DNC members for showing up, for being fired up and understanding that this is our moment. That's right, Democrats, this is our moment. Moments like this don't come around too often. They test who we are. They test what we believe. And they force us to answer one very simple question. Are we going to move forward together or fall backwards into chaos, into division and fear? Now, truth be told, it's also America's moment to send a message, because Donald Trump has worn out his welcome. He's worn out his welcome. He's pissed off our country. He's pissed off his own voters. He's done everything he can to make the United States of America, which is the greatest country in the world, weaker. Shredding the Constitution in front of our own eyes, disregarding the rule of law and due process, and dragging us into chaos abroad and instability at home. Right now, families across this country are watching a war unfold with Iran, a war that is driving up costs, creating uncertainty, and costing lives. Energy prices have surged. Gas is now over $1 higher than before the war. And families are paying the price every time they fill up. Economic experts say relief may take months, if it comes at all. And meanwhile, inflation is rising again, putting even more pressure on families who are already stretched thin. And while all of this is happening, while lives are being lost, while people are anxious about their future, what are Republicans offering? More chaos, more division, more excuses. So Donald Trump, Americans have something to say to you. We've seen enough. We have seen enough. And they've seen what you have to offer. Nothing but false promises. They've seen who you care about. No one but yourself. They've seen what you've accomplished. Absolutely nothing. Now look, this is not about left versus right. This is about right versus wrong. It's about whether we are a country where power serves the people or a country where power serves itself. Now look, Americans have one other thing to say. We are going to elect Democrats everywhere this fall. Everywhere this fall. This isn't rhetoric. This is not rhetoric. This is not hopeful thinking. It's reality. It's the reality of Taylor Emmett winning in Texas and Emily Gregory winning in Palm Beach in Trump's own backyard. It's the reality of Chastity Martinez here in Louisiana, Caitlin Dray in Iowa, and Eileen Higgins in Miami. That's the reality. It's the reality of Democrats winning or overperforming in nearly 90% of key elections since Trump was elected. It's the reality of 30 state legislative flips for Democrats and 0 flips for Republicans. Think about that. And it's the reality of what we saw just this last week in Georgia, where Sean Harris closed the gap by 25 points in what was Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. Think about that. In the reddest of ruby red areas, we are pushing Republicans to the brink. It's the reality in Wisconsin, the Badger State, where Chris Taylor was elected to the state Supreme Court in an absolute blowout, a historic monumental victory. Now think about this. She even won in Ripon, which is the birthplace of the Republican Party. Think about this, guys. I want you to think about this. What has happened over this last year? Democrats have won where the GOP was founded in Ripon, and we have won where it's falling apart in Mar-a-Lago. Think about that, folks. We are winning everywhere. Now look, recently Mike Johnson, a guy who knows his time up as Speaker, was asked whether or not losing Trump's home district is a canary in the coal mine. He said no, of course. He said these special elections are anomalies. You know what I say? It's not an anomaly if it happens every week, everywhere, in every place, right? This isn't happening by accident. It's happening because Democrats are showing up. They're listening, they're organizing, they're delivering. And while Republicans are dividing, we are building. Democrats, with everything on the line between now and November, it's time to shed any pessimism that's left in our party. No more pessimism. We've been winning. It's time to go on offense, compete up and down the ballot, and organize everywhere to reinvent our political map. Not only in 2026, in 2028, 30, and beyond. And that means right here in the South. And you heard Congressman Troy Carter say this best. This is the battleground of the future. In fact, it's the battleground of the moment, with Louisiana versus Calais targeting black and brown members of Congress and black and brown voters, with extremists in Louisiana trying to ban abortion, with Republicans trying to rig maps and to gerrymander districts across the South. For too long, people counted out the South. They wrote it off. They ignored it. But we know better, because we don't abandon communities. We invest in them. We organize in them, and we win in them. We are already winning in the South, and we will continue to. We are turbocharging investments, millions in resources, because we know that tomorrow's constellation of power runs through Louisiana. It runs through Texas. It runs through the Carolinas. It runs through Alabama. It runs through Florida. It runs through Georgia, Kentucky, and Mississippi, Tennessee, and Virginia, and West Virginia, and Arkansas. It is time to recover our standing, to rediscover something called hope. Called hope, folks. Now, I know we want to experience hope again. And I know we want to invite every American to join our Democratic coalition. Our party is a big tent, and the doors are open. The people are out there. The voters are hungry for real leadership and real solutions to the challenges they and their families face, which have become more challenging than ever before. They don't want to pay for bombs for a war that Trump can't even explain. They don't want to build monuments to a failed president or ballrooms for billionaires. They don't want Republican cover-ups to protect pedophiles and elites who play by a different set of rules than everybody else. They don't want masked agents sent by Trump to kick down doors without warrants. They don't want to lock up little kids and execute American citizens like they did in my home state of Minnesota, who were just standing up for their neighbors. Look. You know what? For God's sake, people in this country, they want health care. They want to be able to pay for a tank of gas to get their kids to a daycare they can afford. They want to buy a home, to start a career that actually pays the bills, and to retire with dignity. They want to see one set of rules, one justice system, one rule of law. And if Republicans want to be the party of false promises, let our party be the party that delivers. And if Republicans want to fight for their own power, Democrats will fight for people. We will fight for the people's fundamental right to vote. Trump and his crew are attempting to rig the game, to intimidate voters, to take over our elections. You know why they're doing that? They see the writing on the wall. And here's what I say. We're going to keep coming after you. I said this the day I was elected, when the press asked me, what's your message to Donald Trump? I said, the gloves are off, and we're coming after you. And we've been doing that all year long. Guess what? We're going to keep suing you. We're going to take your ass to court. We have the best legal team out there, and they represent the American voter, not the billionaires. This November, we have to win. We will win. We will win because this country right now depends on us. We will pick up the torch and honor the remarkable Democrats that we've lost this year. Titans like a titan of civil rights, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who we lost just a few weeks back. An extraordinary advocate and friend who we just lost in Nancy Mateo Bowen from the great state of Florida. And to all who have given their life's work to this cause, to the people, to our country, we have to honor them. But we must do everything it takes right now. We have 207 days left. 207 days until the November elections. And people ask me all the time, and I'm sure they ask you the same thing, how are you feeling about November? Every one of you get this question, I'm sure. And you know what I say? I say I'm confident, but not complacent. Never complacent. You see, I've said this before, and I hope you say it to people. We are all gas and no brakes. All gas and no brakes. We have to seize every single day given to us. Campaigns aren't won on cable news. They're not won on social media. They're won on front porches, in barbershops, in union halls, in churches, in conversations, one voter at a time. Now, DNC, we have the momentum. But guess what? With all this wind at our back, with all this positive momentum, guess what momentum doesn't do? Momentum doesn't knock on doors. Momentum doesn't register voters. Momentum doesn't organize communities. We do. Each and every one of us in this room, and a million more throughout the country who are fighting up, standing up and fighting. If we want to win, we have to earn it. If we want to protect democracy, we have to organize for it. If we want an economy that works for working people, we have to fight for it. So don't wait for someone else to do the work. I'm preaching to the choir, I know. But don't assume that someone else will make the call or knock the door or win the vote. This is on all of us, every single one of us. That means 207 days of knocking doors, 207 days of phone calls, 207 days of building coalitions, 207 days of showing up in every neighborhood and making the case for a fairer, freer, and stronger America. Just 207 days to make this all count. So let's get to work. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now, because when Democrats organize, we win. When Democrats show up, we deliver. And when Democrats lead, America moves forward. Now, I got some bad news for all of you. Some really bad news for you. Because guess what? The day after this amazing election where we win everything is the first day of the next election and our chance to finally defeat Donald Trump and put an end to Trumpism once and for all. Are you ready, Democrats? Are you ready to organize? Are you ready to fight for this country? Let's hear it, Democrats. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go out there and win, Democrats. Thank you so much. I got to stay up. Now with that, folks, throughout his life, Reverend Jesse Jackson has spoken forcefully, and he acted boldly as a trailblazing champion for justice, for equality, and for human dignity for all. As a civil rights leader and a presidential candidate in 1984 and 1988, Reverend Jackson has made so much history and opened so many doors for others. Today, we mourn his passing, and we honor his belief in the Rainbow Coalition, which he described in his 1988 speech at the Democratic National Convention, one where Americans of all races, of all creeds and backgrounds and religions are united for the common good. This organization that we all have the distinct privilege of serving on, an organization that reflects the Rainbow Coalition he inspired us to dream of, only looks the way it does today because of Reverend Jesse Jackson. May we continue our work to make this belief and his life's work a reality, and never waver in our commitment to making this a place where all are welcome. Today, we remember the legacy of Reverend Jackson and stand in awe with the Americans who were inspired by his message and saw themselves reflected in his powerful and inclusive vision for this country. Now, members, please direct your attention to the screen for a short video about the incredible work of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And after we watch this video, we will hear from remarks from people who knew the Reverend Jesse Jackson very well.
This calls on each of us to step forward and say, send me to be heralds of change, to be messengers of hope.
Respect me, protect me, never neglect me.
How fortunate we were that Jesse Jackson answered that call.
For the past several months, a new strategy to end racial segregation has been spreading through the South. It takes the form of sit-in demonstrations by Negro students.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson, the son of an Alabama sharecropper, was baptized in the civil rights struggle when he served as the, quote, point man, end quote, at a number of the Greensboro sit-ins.
No, sir, you cannot be admitted. Why? I am not going to serve you. Because of my race?
He was part of what's called the Greenville Eight, a group of young people who helped desegregate the Greenville library system.
In 1963, Reverend Jackson joined the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and quickly gained a reputation for his organizing ability, and for several years headed up the economic arm of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, known as Operation Breadbasket.
Operation Breadbasket believes that black pride stems from black economic power. Every Saturday morning, Operation Breadbasket meets in a Baptist church to hear its leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson.
I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be unwell.
I have some very sad news for all of you, and I think sad news for all of our fellow citizens.
God knows this is the most tragic thing that has ever happened in my life. The black people's leader, our Moses, has been taken from us by hatred and bitterness.
I remember we really saying that we could not let one bullet kill a movement. We're going on to Washington, and we did.
Just 1 week after Dr. King's murder, the Civil Rights Act of 1968 was passed and signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson. Jackson continued the fight for civil rights in the wake of Dr. King's assassination.
I believe that we will go from outhouse to state house to courthouse to White House. I believe we will rise all the way to the top. I rise to declare my decision to seek the nomination of the Democratic Party for the presidency of the United States of America.
Because the people, they need you. Nothing's gonna stop you, Jesse.
He'd get out there and he'd give that speech, he'd see the crowd, that was the elixir, boom. You know, all of a sudden he turned on, he was magic.
Hey, Jesse!
Jesse Jackson! The Reverend Jesse Jackson!
Jackson's surge is a mind-blower.
You think that he can become president?
Yes.
You think he'd be a good president?
Yes, I'm putting all my wishes to him.
Hope wins! You must keep hope alive! Keep hope alive!
Jesse Jackson's presidential bid changed the political landscape forever.
He paved the road for so many others to follow.
CBS projects that Senator Barack Obama of Illinois will be the next president of the United States.
Long before there was a Barack Obama, there was a Reverend Jesse Jackson, and he was lifting up little kids all across America, believing that they too one day can become president of the United States.
Young America, hold your head high now. You must never stop dreaming. Don't stop with the way things are. Dream of things as they ought to be. Dream.
Jesse Jackson changed American politics. Jesse Jackson changed the civil rights movement.
people will remember him as their champion, someone who gave the last full measure of his life in service.
He took the ministry from Sunday morning and he delivered it to the people.
The love for someone whose love could never be repaid.
May God bless Reverend Jackson. May he rest in eternal peace.
Qualified, and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much. I love you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Donna Brazil and James Zogby.
Jim and I stand before you not just as a witness to history, but as participants in a movement that reshaped the soul of the Democratic Party and expanded the promise of American democracy. Reverend Jackson was both prophetic and pragmatic. He stood for big values, but he also understood compromise, coalition building, and the need to listen to people who had been marginalized or simply forgotten. In 1984, Jim and I had the honor of being a part of that campaign, along with Bishop Daughtry and so many others in this room. When Reverend launched his historic campaign, many counted us out. They said our coalition was too bold, that people who had been locked out would never be allowed in the process. They said our coalition was too diverse, too unapologetic. But what they didn't understand is that we were not building a campaign, we were building a movement. And the Rainbow Coalition brought together Black, white, Latino, Asian, Native, young, old, labor, farmers, gays and lesbians, students, and the forgotten. People, as I said, who have been forgotten. But they found a place at the table, and more importantly, a reason to believe that their voices would matter. We didn't just go out and register voters. Some of you might know that Reverend would give you 100 buttons in a bag, so y'all watch out for those buttons. And because we would take those buttons, get $1 or $2, and go out and register more people because we had a little bit more money to eat and go out and knock on doors. But we didn't register just new voters. We transformed them into stakeholders in their own democracy. Between 1984 and 1988, Mignon, something powerful happened. We changed the electorate, we changed the issues, and yes, we changed this party forever. On the power of the rainbow, we took back the United States Senate in 1986, winning Senate races in Alabama and Louisiana, North Carolina, and Florida. But we didn't just stop with the United States Senate. We had enough gas in our tank so that David Dinkins could win in New York City, that Doug Wilder could win in Virginia, Norm Rice in Seattle. And yes, we brought along another chairman, one that we stand on his shoulders to this day, Ronald Brown. We forced conversations about economic justice, Lottie. We went out there and we stood for voting rights. We went out there and we believed that inclusion was on our side, that we could build stronger. Reverend Jackson made sure the central pillars of our campaign would involve everybody. Nobody would be left behind. And he changed the rules of this party so that everybody had a chance and a stake to become delegates, and we made sure it was equal across the board. We rejected winner take all. We thank Reverend Jackson for giving us a new compass, a new way forward. We expanded the map both geographically and morally. By 1988, when Reverend Jackson ran again, he didn't just run a stronger campaign. He ran a campaign that proved this movement was more than a moment. It was a mandate that said, bring everybody in, leave nobody out, and the fight for those who had felt unseen. Don't worry, I see all of y'all. Don't be afraid of the darkness. You're in Louisiana. We play in the darkness. The things we do in the darkness, we don't often bring to light, but let me tell you, that's the reason why we believe in the Holy Ghost. So just, y'all hang in there. We made the Democratic Party more reflective of America. Look at the dice. Look at this dice. Look at this dice. And that young man, he stood on the shoulders of Paul Wellstone, who was with us. We made the Democratic Party more reflective of America, not just as it was, but as it could be. And so let's be clear. The transformation didn't happen because it was easy. It happened because people were willing to organize in the shadows. We were willing to knock on doors that no one else would knock on, to believe in a future no one could yet see. And yes, it led us one day to the election of Barack Obama. That is our inheritance, and now it is our responsibility. Because the question before us today is not just what we did from 1984 to 1988. The question is, do we still have the courage to do it again? Do we have the courage to expand the electorate, to organize and register new voters? Do we have the courage to energize the next generation, to speak to the pain and promise of every American? And I know the answer is clear. Ken, the tools may have changed, the landscape may have shifted, but our mission, you know this, remain the same. We're going to continue to build a coalition as wide as the American sky, and we're going to stand on justice as firm as the American foundation. And let us never forget. And the chairman constantly reminds us that when we organize, when we mobilize, when we bring people together, we don't just win the elections, we change history, and that's what we're going to do in November. Finally, Reverend Jackson taught us that democracy grows when more people are at the table, more voices are heard, and more doors are open. So let us leave tomorrow afternoon. I hope you're going to be full. By the way, none of the things you're eating tonight or tomorrow will put on any new calories. And that drink you think you're having, it is delicious. Don't think of it as having any alcohol. But let us leave this meeting, go home, invest in people early. Invest in people early. No more last 2-week campaigns. Give them the responsibility, as Reverend Jackson taught us. And we will see the party bench become stronger and stronger, and we will be victorious this November. I am so proud to have been a part of that historic 1984 campaign. Reverend Jackson won many states, including this state, my home state, and I was his manager. And so God bless you, Reverend. Thank you, Reverend, for hiring a little girl from Kenner, Louisiana, with no resume, with barely enough money to go from this place to that place, but because Reverend believed in young people, he believed in us. He saw within us something that could make mountains even seem like valleys. Reverend understood the power of the people. I am grateful for Reverend Jackson, my brother, my mentor. Thank you. God bless you. Keep hope alive and never surrender.
Two observations. One is, I always get to follow somebody like Donna Brazil. And number two, I didn't know I was going to be doing this. My mother passed away years ago, was looking down and she's saying, why the hell didn't you put a suit coat on? But bear with me. It was 43 years ago, Reverend Jackson, I was at a dinner, tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, I want you to come and work on my campaign. I said, Reverend, I've been organizing my community for the last 4 years. I can't give it up. He said, you're going to do more for your community in the next 4 months than you've been able to do in the last 4 years. See, my community had been excluded from politics. No one would meet with us. In the party, they wouldn't meet with us. Candidates gave money back. Candidates rejected endorsement. We were, as Reverend would say, the rejected stone, and he made us a part of the movement he was building. And at one point, people complained. They said, Reverend Jackson, you got that Arab guy in your campaign. You're going to lose people if you keep him. And I went to him, I said, Reverend, I'm going to quit because I just can't do this. I just don't want to have a bullseye on my back. He said, do not quit. If you give them that, you give them what they want. What they're afraid of is that you stick around and fight. And what I saw in him was not only a determination to continue to fight, but to take on tough issues. People remember he took on Palestine. No one else would talk about it back then. No one. But we raised it at the Democratic Convention. First time it was raised as an issue. I'd say it was the last time too, but it was nevertheless an important breakthrough. But to be honest with you, the courage he showed when he walked into a room full of ministers and talked to them about gay rights. This is back in the 80s. And they were unrelenting, and he was unrelenting back, and he moved mountains with them because he made them understand the humanity of people, and the message of Jesus Christ was at stake. That's courage. He built a rainbow coalition of the rejected, and he made us, as Donna said, into a movement. I'll never forget the 84 speech. If you've not listened to the 84 speech, you listen to that speech. 88 gets talked about. 84, when he said, God is not finished with me yet. Do not give up on me. And I believe that that's true of our movement. God's not done with us yet, with each and every one of us. And I just have one final thing I want to say. Back when I had the honor in 84 to do one of the nominating speeches, I got to speak that night after it. And I said, tonight, the son of an illegal immigrant got to nominate for president the great-grandson of a slave. Where else but America? Because my father had come undocumented. And so let me conclude with what I told the young Dems this morning. I wish for all of you what Donna and I had, the opportunity to work for and with somebody and to learn from somebody who was a transformative figure in American life and taught us almost every day by what he did and how he lived. And I thank you, and I wish that for all of you. Best wishes.
Please welcome DNC Associate Chair, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Jesse Jackson, icon, civil rights leader, spouse, father, organizer, history maker, trailblazer, humanitarian, tireless advocate for justice, equality, and hope, mentor, orator, reverend disciple of Martin Luther King Jr., a friend to many, and so much more. Thank you, Ken and the DNC. It is an honor for me to participate in this remembrance. Donna, my story is like millions of stories. Democrats picture this: a young Joyce Beatty in 1984, attending her first DNC convention, when an elected official walked her over to the Jesse Jackson for an introduction that led to a friendship, mentorship, meetings, a Rainbow Push Coalition office, marches, protests, conventions, college campus tours, a campaign for Congress, him holding her hand victory night, a CBC chairmanship, George Floyd's trial, inspirations from a wheelchair, a hand squeezed from his hospital bed, a flag presentation to his family at his funeral, and now right back here at the DNC from where it started. Can we honor Jesse Jackson not only for what he achieved, but for the vision of a better, more just America that we continue, Democrats, to champion today? He left an indelible mark on history. And the best words I can leave you with are the words of Reverend Jesse Jackson. They ring true today. Close your eyes and imagine his voice. We inherited a great party, the Democratic Party, which is the best hope for redirecting our nation on a more humane, just, and peaceful course. It is not a perfect party. We are not a perfect people. Yet we are called to a perfect mission. We are bound together by our faith, respect, and love of this country. America is not a blanket. It is a quilt. It is a quilt of many pieces, shapes, and colors. You must not surrender. We must not surrender. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. The morning comes. Democrats, this is our time. The morning has come. Stand up for justice. Stand up for equality and keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. God bless you and thank you.
Please welcome Illinois' own Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
Thank you so much, Chairman Martin. I'm Congressman Jonathan Jackson, serving proudly Illinois' 1st Congressional District. I'm the middle son of Reverend Jesse Jackson and Jacqueline Jackson. I would like to say a very special thank you on behalf of my mother, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, that's extremely grateful for your kindness, your thoughts today. My sisters growing up, Donna, Brazil, Bishop Daughtry, Mignon Moore, thank you, Brother Jorge. If my father had a sister, her name would have been Maxine Waters. I'd like to thank Virgie, his younger sister, for all that she's done for so long. And just briefly, brothers and sisters, fellow laborers in this vineyard of democracy, friends in this long journey of struggle and hope, I'd like for us to first have a moment of silence to remember Congressman Menard. Congressman Menard was first elected from the great state of Louisiana. My dear friend, Congressman Cleo Fields from Baton Rouge, 6th Louisiana District, asked me when I first won my congressional seat 3 years ago, he says, "Jonathan, do you know who is the first African-American congressman?" And I said, "Sure." He came out of Mississippi. He said, "I didn't say who served, I said who was elected." And so then I had to do my research, and it was Congressman Menard from the great state of Louisiana, an African-American gentleman that won his congressional seat in 1868 after slavery had been abolished, was elected, made it to Washington, D.C., and was never seated. So the first elected was not the first that was seated as a congressperson. Fast forward to today. That spirit of Jim Crow, segregationist, Confederacy still lives in the heart of our nation. In this great state of Louisiana, where we have the Speaker, Speaker Mike Johnson, and Mr. Scalise. Someone had asked me after my father's passing on February 17th, and I was in a very uncomfortable situation, recognizing both the Reverend Jesse Jackson. You should honor your mother and father, the scriptures teach us, but I would tell you what an honor it is to have been the son of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. So I felt a dual consciousness, both advocating for someone that I love personally, but then professionally looking at the accomplishments of what the Reverend Jesse Jackson has done. Knowing just a few months earlier that same United States Congress lowered the flag to honor that of Mr. Charlie Kirk, but could not honor the memory and the life of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. There comes a time in life where people are reminded by a life that God has not abandoned us. My father had worked over 60 years in the vineyard of fighting for civil rights. I'm born in 1966, after the 1965 Voting Rights Act. I am the first generation of African Americans born with equal rights. Take a moment and let that sink in. I am the first generation. And now today, my daughter has fewer rights growing up than I've had my entire life. When women cannot have autonomy over their body to make decisions about their health, we're going backwards in time. When our children don't have equal access to voting, we don't have equal rights. When we see that the programs of diversity, out of many we are one, diversity. I wish somebody in the other party would read E pluribus unum that's on the back of every dollar bill. Diversity is a value that we should uphold and extol. When we talk about equality, it's written into our Constitution. When we talk about inclusivity, that is where the Disabled Act comes from, where we can have ramps and accessibility. These are virtues I would tell you, as Democrats, let us never shy away from. My father would tell you that he was a trailblazer, not a pathfinder. Someone had to get the scratches. Someone had to get bloodied. Someone had to increase the possibility in our minds, expand what we could do. I'm reminded in 2011 was the first time in the voting floor in the United States Capitol that they finally put a restroom outside of the voting chamber so women could relieve their bodies. I still serve in the Congress with the first woman to have graduated from the Citadel, and Miss Nancy Mace in 1999. Why do I tell you that? Because it's not been that long ago. And so when we look at women having achieved great things in basketball just this past March, that was not always an option to have equal funding for women in sports. So when I hear a woman say she's not a part of diversity, teach her the law. Let her understand the history. I want to say a very special thank you to my colleague, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. I'd like to say hello to Dahlia Ramirez. I know I'm going to miss somebody. If I missed you, wave your hand, stand up, shout. If you're a VIP in here, I need you to stand up and shout. Is there any VIPs I'm missing? You missed your cue. Everybody should stand for a moment. If you don't know you're VIP, stand up for a moment. Let somebody know that you're a VIP. Tell them you are somebody. In closing, brothers and sisters, this past week, I just got back from Cuba. Cuba is our neighbor. Cuba is just 90 miles off of the Florida Keys. There are 11 million people in Cuba tonight that don't have energy, that have been denied because of a U.S. embargo on financial instruments as well as petroleum, that cannot get fuel. What does that mean? And what did I see? I saw incubators and ventilators that were broken because there are power surges. I saw pregnant women having to walk upstairs because the elevators don't work. I met with doctors that in the middle of a surgery have to pull out their cell phones to turn on the light because there's power outages in the hospitals. This is happening 90 miles off of our shore. It's one of the greatest humanitarian disasters that's happening in the world. Now, as we fight to open the Strait of Hormuz to get oil free flowing around the world, how can we deny energy to our neighbor in our own hemisphere? We have to stop the contradiction and the hypocrisy. Now, Mr. Trump and Mr. Vance find themselves in a very unenviable position. They start a trade war with their longest allies in Europe. They start a trade war with the Chinese that's been buying our financial instruments. And then they go in and start bombing a country without a plan on exiting or what a clear goals and objectives are. And then they say to the France and other people, you all figure out how to get around the Strait of Hormuz on your own. And then, of course, yesterday, Mrs. Melania Trump, this is politics. I don't know what made her come forward. If somebody could pull me to the side and let me know what story she's trying to run in front of, meet me at the bar so I can find out. But something is going on. And lastly, in the spirit of my father, Reverend Jesse Jackson, he simply wanted to bring out the best in everyone. He knew that God made enough sunlight for everyone under his sun. He wanted to make sure that we could be better than ourselves. What's going to happen with the Republican Party? It's like the play of King Lear. You're going to see the most greedy people all begin to devour themselves. But Democrats, it's just not enough for us to see Trump lose. Chairman Martin, the question becomes, when we go back to our voters in 207 days, in just 29 weeks from now, what are we ushering in? What are we going to do different? I would tell you, Democrats, we're going to stand up for women's rights and equal pay across the board. We're going to have something to say about the 400,000 African-American women that got laid off under the Doge cuts. We're going to have something to say about the LAHEAP program. We're going to have something to say about peace and justice in the Middle East. We're going to have something to say about raising a livable wage. We're going to have something to say about clean energy. We're going to have something to say about normalizing relations in our own hemisphere. God bless you. Thank you so much for honoring the life, the legacy, the living of my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Please welcome Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
well. Hello, everybody. Let's first, before we do anything, I want to tell Ken Martin, this feels like a real DNC meeting we're having here today. I want to thank you for the time that you are given for Jesse Jackson here at this particular meeting. It is so important that we honor those who have made sacrifices such as Jesse Jackson has made. He was one of the greatest civil rights leaders that ever walked this earth. He was a great human rights leader, and I want you to know that he was a great father. I want you to know he was a great husband. I want you to know that his children that you're seeing, many for the first time, you see the spirit of Jesse Jackson in them. Give him a big round of applause. I am so pleased to be here in New Orleans, but it brings back a lot of memories. I have so many stories I could tell you about Jesse Jackson, but I'll quickly tell you one or two. The first one is about New Orleans, as y'all call it. It is about New Orleans, what happened with Katrina. I want you to know that Jesse Jackson and I talked on the telephone when it happened and when people didn't know where to go, where they were all crowded into that auditorium down there. And so he said, let's go. I left Los Angeles. We didn't know where we were going to sleep. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we came to New Orleans. And we ended up with Cleo Fields. You know who Cleo Fields is? Cleo Fields, now congressman. He got a bus. We took the bus to the Louis Armstrong International Airport, where they had dropped people who they had taken off of roofs and didn't know where to take them. There were people there without their medicine. There were diabetics. Jesse Jackson and Cleo Fields and Maxine Waters picked up people from the Louis Armstrong Airport, and we started down wherever we could go to find places we could put them, where we could put them in homes, where we could put them in apartments, wherever we could put them. And I want you to know we was down in Alexandria, Louisiana, all over. But Jesse Jackson was picking up people himself in his arms off the sidewalk. He was getting babies. He was even going up to help people who were still on the roofs. You don't know Jesse Jackson like I knew Jesse Jackson. I traveled with him in the ghettos, in the barrios, on the reservations, in public housing projects. In public housing projects where some of the gangbangers came out to say, who is this Jesse Jackson? When Jesse Jackson got through talking with them, they asked if he would stay all night. And guess what? He slept in public housing projects all night with young people who thought they were gangsters. They just thought they were bad until Jesse Jackson came along. And he slept there with them. You don't know Jesse Jackson like I knew Jesse Jackson. This great man made a lot of sacrifices. A lot of us loved him, but so many people didn't know him, were afraid of him, hated him, didn't want him to be the spokesperson that he was. But Jesse Jackson never stopped. His family paid a great price for him to be on the road. My family, I was on the road for 6 weeks and didn't go home while we traveled all over this country. He paid a great price and he sacrificed. And so we owe it to him, not simply to come and say amen, not simply to say that's right, or when he's talked about, but that spirit has to live within us. It is that spirit that makes us good Democrats, because he cared about everything and everybody, and he knew that this is the party that will help us to overcome whatever we have to overcome. Trump don't know who in the hell he's messing with. The Democratic Party will never stop fighting. When we fight, we will win. When we fight, we will win. When we fight, we will win. We have the Jesse Jackson spirit. And a lot of people don't know why I act the way I act sometimes when I take them on. When I say reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. That's the Jesse Jackson spirit in me. That is what I learned about him. the confidence. When you hear me say, I got the gavel and I know how to use it, that's because Jesse Jackson taught me to have confidence, to be strong, to do what I really thought, don't hide from anybody, and never be intimidated by Trump or anybody. Oh, I wish he was here today. I wish he was here today because not only would he see those who believed in him and those who had that spirit that we all need and we all got to have in order to know what we must do. Jesse Jackson did not believe that any child should be hungry in this country. And he talked about the fact that children were going to bed at night hungry, not able to have dinner or have a meal. He talked about people even then living on the streets, the homeless, and he went above and around and with the homeless to help them and to talk with them and to give them hope and to give them the spirit that life was going to be better. And so here we are. Here we are at the Democratic Conference, the DNC, where we all are fighting for this country. We're fighting to make sure that this country lives up to its ideals. We're fighting to make sure, no matter how bad it gets, with the wrong leader, you know, some mistakes can be made. And a big mistake was made when this Trump was elected to be the president of the United States of America. But we're going to do that. We're going to take care of that. We're going to take that because we're going to take the Jesse Jackson spirit and we're going to take it to the streets. We're going to knock on doors. We're going to get on telephone banks. We're going to raise money. We're going to register people to vote. Now, they think that they're going to take away the right for every person to vote who want to vote in this country. They believe that somehow the SAVE Act that he's put up is going to stop us from registering to vote. He don't know who in the hell we are. He is not going to take away from us the right to vote and federalize voting. He wants to know the name of every person who is eligible to vote. He and Elon both can go straight to hell because we are not going to allow that to happen. We're not going to allow that to happen. You think that we're going to give up our voting rights? You can try anything you want. You can say anything you want. You can do whatever you want, but you will never take away the voting rights that so many died and sacrificed for. And so we got work to do. And I want everybody to know everybody can do something. Now me, I love to go into protest. I've been on the streets with Indivisible. I've been on the streets with No King's Day. I've been in about 11 or 12 protest actions in the last few months. I was out in front of the Board of Education in 19-degree weather, calling out the so-called new person he had appointed to be in charge of our education, who want to take away public education. Now, I want you to know we have to be careful because we know a lot, and sometimes we don't know as much as we should know, and we don't always know how to handle it. We have a lot of talk about young people and old people. I'm 79 years old, 87 years old, wish I was 79. 87 years old, wish I was 79. But guess what? I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to stay in this fight. I'm going to run for re-election. I'm going to make sure that we respect each other, that we have coalitions. Everybody's got a right to try. Everybody's got a right to try to run for office, young, old, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, but for old folks like me, hell, we vote, and we're going to keep on voting. We work hard. We're going to keep on working hard. And I want you to take your medicine and whatever you got to do. I want you to go to the doctor on time. I want to make sure you're in good health. I want to make sure you hit the streets. I want to make sure you're in the campaigns. I want to make sure you're making telephone calls. And don't think you're just going to win it on the social media. Yes, I want you to do everything that you can. I want you to make sure that you're on the social media and you're talking, you're criticizing, you're advising, you do all of that. But that's not going to win it alone. Do all of that. But get on the streets, get in the neighborhoods, get in the churches, get with your social organizations. Can we win it? Yes. Can we fight? Yes. If we fight, can we win? Yes. Are you dedicated to the fight? Are you willing to fight? Can you keep up with 87-year-old Maxine Waters?
Oh, I think someone just dropped the mic there. Let's hear it for Maxine Waters. Wow. These Joyces, I think. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for being a part of this wonderful remembrance, of course, of Jesse Jackson. It's incumbent, as you heard all of our speakers say, it's incumbent upon us to carry his legacy forward, to continue Reverend Jackson's work of making this party more welcoming every day. The Rainbow Coalition wasn't just a statement. You heard everyone talk about it being a movement which is under attack every single day in this country. So as we transition back to our regular order here, and actually we do have some business, I would welcome our Associate Chair, Stuart Applebaum, to address us. Stuart?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everybody. It gives me a lot of pleasure to be able to introduce our next speaker, the Attorney General of the state of New York, Tish James. Tish James is the first woman to be elected to that role, and she is the first woman of color to be elected to any statewide office in New York, just as she was the first woman of color to be elected citywide when she became New York City's public advocate after serving as a distinguished and wonderful member of New York City Council. People across the nation know Tish as the person who stood up to Donald Trump, sued him, and won. And people across New York know Tish as our defender and advocate. And people in labor know Tish as our sister. Please join me in welcoming to the stage our sister and New York's Attorney General, Letitia Tish James.
Thank you. I love Maxine Waters. That's my auntie. She is certainly an OG. Hello, Democrats. I am so honored and privileged to be here today to bring a little bit of the Republic of Brooklyn to the Big Easy. And first, let me start with a brief moment of silence to acknowledge the 13 service members that we lost in Iran, including Major Sorfleet Davies, who was Haitian from Queens, New York, and all of the other brave service members who are serving on foreign soils right now. Let's pray for their strength. And let's pray for their safe return. Please join me in just one moment of recognition of all that they've done for our freedom. Thank you. My friends, we're at a dangerous crossroad. Our country is facing its darkest hour. the executive has run roughshod over our democracy, rewriting the Constitution and striking blows against immigrants and women and the LGBTQI community and people of color and the poor and working families and the labor movement and all freedom-loving people. This administration has left a moral and a legal stain on our country. And I truly wish, that they would be rendered to the footnotes in our society and history. But no amount of wishing and hoping can undo the damage that they have done to the very fabric of our democracy. And in its wake, we have witnessed greed and graft and grift and gain, and families paralyzed by fear, entire communities torn apart, lives shattered, and lives lost. And I know we are tired. I know we are frustrated. I hear it each and every day. But we cannot give up. We cannot give in, despite the wounds to our soul and the blows to our spirit. We've got to be courageous and undaunted and unbowed and unwavering. We must stand up and we must stand together and we must fight back and fight back fiercely. We cannot allow ourselves to be beaten down by the horrors of this last year and of the last decade since he came down from that golden elevator. Let us be reminded of all of the freedom fighters whose protests sparked the passage of the Voting Rights Act. They were weary and thirsty. They were bloodied and bruised. They were arrested and jailed, but they did not back down, because strength, my friends, is the product of struggle. And the freedoms that define who we are as a country demand that we stand united, committed to undoing the brutal damage that this administration has done to our nation, challenging the fog of misinformation and disinformation, the distortion of facts and the deep fakes, and the unconstitutional and arbitrary executive orders that do not have the force of law. And that is why my Attorney General colleagues and I are fighting each and every goddamn day. And even though Congress won't serve a check on this administration, my colleagues, we're serving as a check on this administration, and I want the world to know that we are winning. On immigration and birthright citizenship, on programs that put food on families' tables, on protecting safety net programs, on cancer research to save lives, including children, on labor rights for working people, on protecting our environment, on protecting the rights of the trans community. And that most basic right from which all other rights emanate, and that is the right to vote. But our work cannot be done in isolation. None of us can afford to sit idly by and accept the chilling of free speech and the chilling of civic engagement, the dismantling of our democratic norms. And in the words of the great, late Congressmember Barbara Jordan, the diminution, the subversion, the destruction of our Constitution. Our country is in its 250th year of freedom. Yes, freedom. And if we do not win back the House and the Senate this year, if we do not take governor mansions, if we do not take attorney general seats, if we do not flip state legislatures and city council seats and school boards and county executives across this nation, if we do not elect more freedom fighters and individuals with some spine in their backbone, if we do not elect individuals of all stripes, people who seek to build bridges and not walls, people who love their neighbors as themselves, then they will tighten the grip of tyranny that has corroded our Constitution by manufacturing threats and disorder and suppressing the right to vote through intimidation and Jim Crow laws with marauding mask agents. They will dehumanize more Americans and more individuals. And they will continue to concentrate power in the hands of a few. And yes, they will continue to weaponize government. But I don't know about you. I am no ways tired. So my fellow Democrats, we've got to stiffen our resolve and summon our strength and push past the fatigue and fight to defend democracy and extend economic prosperity to all, especially those who are struggling right now, struggling at the gas pumps, struggling in the grocery stores, struggling at pharmacies, struggling right now to hold on to that dream, who have given up on politics. We've got to meet that moment. So let us amplify our message and then step and repeat. Let us broaden our strategy and kick open the doors and welcome those who feel left out and left behind. Let's shed light rather than fear. And let us not yield and bend and break, give in, give up. Let us take up the challenge of leading a democratic movement that will repair the breach and heal the soul of my beloved nation and bring back into the fold all of those who desire to be at the table of brotherhood, and all of those who recognize that this too is worth fighting for, and that is our sweet nation. God bless you all. Let's keep up the fight.
Next up is our Vice Chair for Civic Engagement and Voter Protection, Raina Walters Morgan.
Good afternoon, Democrats. It is my pleasure to stand before you to introduce to you Attorney General Jay Jones. A Norfolk native and former member of the Virginia House of Delegates, he is known for focusing on consumer protection, civil rights, and gun violence prevention. And you may know that in 2025, he flipped his seat to become the first Black Attorney General in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the 49th Attorney General in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Jay Jones.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, Chair Martin, members of the Democratic National Committee, and everyone gathered here in New Orleans. It is an honor to be with each and every one of you. Tennessee Williams once wrote of New Orleans, how beautiful it is and how easily it can be broken. That is democracy. That is American democracy. Beautiful, powerful, and enduring. And if we're not vigilant, fragile in the face of those who would try to bend it, strain it, and ultimately break it for their own gain. And that is exactly the moment that we are living in right now. Because Donald Trump and his allies are not operating in the shadows. They're doing it out in the open. They're trying to tilt the rules of our democracy, to centralize power, to punish dissent, to make it harder for the American people to hold them accountable. They are testing the system. They are testing the law. And they are testing whether we will meet this moment with clarity and the courage that it demands. As Attorney General of Virginia, I made a decision about how our Commonwealth would respond. We would not wait. We would not hedge. We would not bear down. We would act. I sued Trump's Secretary of the Agriculture for holding food assistance hostage as school meals, as well as the nutrition programs for families. I sued his Secretary of Homeland Security for illegal tariffs that hit families who are working the hardest, hit him the most. And I sued his customs officials for trying to carry out those illegal tariffs. I sued Trump's Secretary of Education for trying to rip away loan forgiveness for our public servants. And I sued his budget officials for trying to dismantle the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We sued a lot, and we are winning. And just recently, we sued Trump's officials who tried to interfere with the way that Americans vote. I sue because when people break the law, we enforce it. I sued because when they overreach, we push back. I sue because that's the job. And I didn't come to this lightly. I come to it shaped by a family from Virginia who helped change it. My father, Gerald Jones, grew up on the front lines of this change. As a child in Norfolk, he walked into one of the first integrated elementary schools in the city. At a time, at 9 years old, took real courage. And a few years later, he helped integrate Virginia Episcopal School in Lynchburg, Virginia, stepping into spaces that had never welcomed students who looked like him. My father went on to break more barriers as the first black law clerk for the Supreme Court of Virginia, carrying with him an understanding that the law is not abstract. It is something that can open doors and close them. And that legacy ran even deeper. My grandfather, Hillary H. Jones, Jr., was in courtrooms and communities fighting to dismantle segregation and expand opportunity, helping push Virginia forward when the Attorney General was trying to push it backward. So when I say that I sue to protect voting rights, to protect families, to protect the rule of law, I say it knowing that I come from people who did not wait for progress. They forced it, step by step by step, barrier by barrier, until Virginia began to live up to its promises. And that's what this moment demands of all of us, because the contrast could not be clearer. We believe in using power to protect people. They use power to protect themselves. We believe that government should make life more affordable, more fair, and more secure for our working families. They believe it should serve those already at the top and leave everybody else to fend for ourselves. That is the choice that is in front of this country in this moment. And here is why I stand before you as a hopeful optimist. We are not simply reacting to this challenge. We are building something stronger in its place. Because of this committee, Democrats are organizing in every single state, not just the ones that are easy, but the ones that are hard. Flipping seats like we did in Virginia last year, electing our first female governor, our first Muslim elected statewide as lieutenant governor, the first black attorney general in the history of the Commonwealth, and flipping 13 legislative seats to give us a trifecta. Because of this committee, we're competing everywhere, expanding the map, refusing to concede any single voter. We're not conceding any community because we're not conceding our future. Because of this committee, we're winning races up and down the ballot, overperforming expectations even in the South, and proving that when we show up to do the work, Democrats win. That is not luck. That is discipline. That is investment. This is the belief about how you write a comeback story. We are building toward this in April in Virginia right now. And I will always defend Virginia's right to stand against Donald Trump's gerrymandering efforts. We are building towards November, where we will take back the Congress. We are building towards 2028, when we will take back the White House. And if we stay focused, and if we stay united, if we continue to meet this moment with clarity and purpose, then we're not just going to compete in these elections. We're going to win. Not because it's inevitable, but because we earned it, because we organized for it, because we fought for it, because when the system was tested, we stood up and we defended it. Because democracy is something beautiful. It is something to behold. And if we do our job, if we fight for it, if we protect it, then it will continue to endure as it has for hundreds of years before. Thank you. God bless you. Enjoy your time in the Big Easy. Let's go win in April and November. Thank you all.
Next up, please welcome the traveling man, as I call him. This guy's been everywhere. So please welcome Vice Chairman Malcolm Kenyatta.
So Democrats, earlier in the meeting, Chair Martin asked, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I want to take a small point, very small point of personal privilege, because the people of Pennsylvania are mourning today and folks in organized labor are mourning today. 3 days ago, in a tragic accident, the iron workers of Local 401 lost 3 members. And so I just want to ask that you keep them in your prayers as we continue the search and rescue operations in Philadelphia and continue to stand with folks in organized labor. So I just want to thank you all for that. But I have a great responsibility and great opportunity to serve on the Credentials Committee under the leadership of the phenomenal co-chairs, Ryan Ramirez and Congresswoman Nakima Williams. And on that committee, we have a big responsibility, and a part of that is ensuring that we continue to uphold an unwavering commitment to fairness, and that is what we've continued to do. And I also want to give a quick shout out to somebody who does not like the attention, but who deserves a lot more of it, our incredible DNC General Counsel, Andy Levian. I just want you to understand that when you are sleeping, Andy is suing Donald Trump. When you wake up, Andy is suing Donald Trump. And when you get sick of hearing about folks suing Donald Trump, Andy is suing Donald Trump. And she is winning, and Democrats are winning, and there are over 500 lawsuits that are right now being led by this incredible team. And so I just want to thank Andy and the incredible legal team for the work that they do every single day. And I have the incredible privilege of introducing my 2 bosses, Ryan Ramirez and Congresswoman Williams.
Man, I feel like I got a hype man. Woo-hoo, Democrats. I'm fired up now. Good afternoon, Democrats. My name is Ryan Ramirez, and and together with Congresswoman Nakima Williams, we chair the DNC's Credentials Committee, The only matter of business before the Credentials Committee since our last meeting was the 2004 challenge to seating of the Alabama elected DNC members for 2024 through 2028 term. The last time we met, the DNC voted down the report submitted by the Credentials Committee calling for the permanent seating of Charlie Statton and temporary seating of Donna Foster and Joe M. Reed of Alabama. Yesterday, the Credentials Committee met to hear from both parties and ultimately adopted a resolution we presented to you today as the report of the committee. Prior to the meeting, in their supplemental written filings, the challenge to seating of Charlie Statton of Alabama was withdrawn by the challengers. Language is included in the resolution and the report to permanently seat Mr. Statton. With adoption, the report of the committee has provided will permanently seat Mr. Statton for his term, not permanently forever. That was an issue we talked about during the committee. Let's be clear on that. And I'll turn it over to my co-chair, the wonderful and phenomenal Congresswoman Williams, to provide a report of the determination made at that meeting.
Thank you, Ryan, and hello, hello, Democrats. I didn't hear y'all say hello. I'm Southern, y'all, so we need a little call and response here. Thank you, Co-Chair Ramirez. Y'all, at our meeting yesterday, after reviewing the parties' written submissions and hearing testimony, the Credentials Committee determined that the elections of the 2 DNC members with the closest vote margins were not valid due to concerns about the composition of the electorate and the method of tabulating votes, both of which could have affected the outcomes of the elections. The committee adopted a resolution requiring the Alabama Democratic Party to hold elections for these 2 new seats in August, along with the election of state party officers after the election of SDEC members on the May primary ballot to eliminate any question of vacancies on the SDEC. These elections must include a process to identify, investigate, and correct all discrepancies in the state committee member list, including membership status and eligibility. A list of vacancies to be filled by the state committee must be provided to members at least 14 days before the meeting at which the vacancies will be filled. Notice that is designed to inform the state committee and the public of all pertinent information concerning the DNC member elections and other aspects of the meeting, including but not limited to the date, time, place, and agenda of the meeting, must be distributed in a manner designed to ensure that the notice reaches all interested parties. The distribution of an up-to-date list of all eligible voting state committee members to all DNC member candidates at least 14 days before the DNC member elections. The committee woman and committee person elections must be conducted by a roll call vote conducted by paper ballot with each voter's name and signature on said ballot. And a representative of the challengers must be permitted to observe ballot tabulation, and a representative of the DNC must be permitted to conduct the tabulation. In the meantime, the Credentials Committee recommends that the DNC not seat Donna Foster and Joe M. Reed. With regard to the election of Charlie Statton as committeeman, the committee accepted the withdrawal of the challenge to his credential and support his permanent until the end of his term and immediate seating on the DNC. The resolution has been provided for each of you for your reference. With that, Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the report as presented.
Thank you to the co-chairs. It has been moved, and it does not require a second because it is a committee report. It has been presented to you. At this point, we would move to open for discussion. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion on the report as presented? Seeing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The report passes. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you both. Thank you, members. I'd now like to welcome to the stage a real partner of all of ours who I work with so closely, and our team works very closely with to make sure that we're meeting our fiduciary obligations here at the DNC. Please welcome to the stage our treasurer from the great state of Pennsylvania, Virginia McGregor.
Well, hello, Democrats. I am so happy to be here today. Yes, I'm Virginia McGregor, and I am proud to be your DNC treasurer. Spring has arrived, and we are recharged and ready to go. As a point of personal pride, I just want to share that just a few days ago, my husband Bob and I welcomed 2 new grandsons into the world. Thank you. Just a week apart, our grandson Callum McGregor of Boston was born, and then on Good Friday, our grandson James Paddock came into the world in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But it's nothing like events like that, children coming into your life, that really drives your focus on why we do this work. My husband and I often talk about, my husband Bob is here with me today, and we talk about why we make these trips, why we dedicate our time, and it's because of the world that we want to live in, and we want to make this country better for our next generation. And so now I have 2 more faces and 2 more names and 2 more reasons to make sure we do exactly that. So when I tell you that the stakes have never been higher, I mean it in the most personal way. You know, every journey has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I believe we are at the beginning of the middle. And thanks to Chair Martin's Organizing Everywhere, Win Anywhere strategy, we have laid the foundation for the success in the midterms. Our finances are strong. In January, the DNC reported that we had brought in $10.5 million with expenditures of $9.3 million. Our party then reported that in February, we again brought in $10 million against the 9.7 that we spent. Again, in March, you will see in our FEC report that we even had a better month. This is a defining moment, and our country knows it, and we are seeing nationwide engagement from organizers and donors alike. We are making historic and aggressive investments to deliver wins in a short term and long term, investments that include sending millions more to state parties than ever before. The DNC is aggressively investing in core infrastructure, especially staff, to deliver wins and build on our party's capacity. Our fundraising is powered by people from every corner of the country who are showing up and giving what they can and betting on a better future. That kind of grassroots energy, combined with the incredible generosity of major donors, sends a message to people everywhere in this country that they believe in the Democratic Party, and so do we. Democrats are ready to deliver. We are strategically making inroads nationwide, and the results speak for themselves. Our strong public support proves enduring faith in our party and confirms our readiness. We're all here today because we believe in that work. We believe in a country that can work for everyone, and we believe in our ability to do it together. Look around this room. We could be anywhere in the world today, yet we choose to be right here together to reach that goal. There is nothing more important we can do as we approach our country's 250th anniversary, and I am so happy to be doing it with you. Thank you.
Next up is her partner in crime, all of our partner in crime, Chris Corge, our National Finance Director.
Thank you. I'm going to go off script. I'm sorry. I have to do it. As you all know, I am the National Finance Chair. And I want to tell you, we have had, since Ken has been elected, and in 2025, we raised $105 million. That is more than we've ever raised after we've lost the presidential race, and in the history of the DNC, it is the second most we've won ever. Second most we've ever raised ever. We are winning races and changing from Republican to Democrat. 30-0 ever. We've never done that. I've been around since 1994 involved with the DNC. I have to give a shout out to our chair. Ken Martin is without a doubt, there has never been a chair that has worked harder. He works 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, and I can tell you that the financial success that we have had in our party is 90% because of his efforts individually meeting with people. This first quarter, we have, in major donor, have raised 180% of our goal. 180%. So I live with only positivity. I hate negativity. Just despise it. Being a cancer survivor 3 times, you want to survive, you have to think positively. You can't live in negativity. We never quit. So please, everyone, block out the noise. I'm sick of the noise. We are doing incredibly well. This chair and our staff are coming up with programs that are making real change to how we are going to conduct our elections. Real change. I have never seen in a 12-year period in my 34 years involved with the DNC the kind of monumental changes that I see. The transparency that I see from the DNC. Today we had a Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and I got to tell you, I never even knew that the DNC prior to this, never even really think prior to this, we had a real, concrete, well thought out budget. That's because of this man and his promises to our organization. So all I want to tell you and leave you with this is just block out the noise. Stay on course. Stay on with positivity. And I promise you, as I was quoted in the paper, and you know what? I think I'm entitled to say this. We are going to kick the Republicans' ass. I don't give a damn how much money they raise, okay? It doesn't matter. We just need to stay the course, do what we need to do, raise the money like we are, and I promise you, we are going to win. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. One thing I wanted to say on this fundraising piece, because there always seems to be stories out there. Chris is exactly right on this. We don't need to outraise the Republicans. We just need to raise enough money to be in the ring, to be able to compete and fight back. And I want to share one quick story with you on that. Taylor Remmett in Fort Worth, Texas. You all know this. Kendall knows this. His opponent, his Republican opponent, raised $2.5 million. Taylor Remmett runs in a 17-point Trump district. He ends up winning by 14 points, a 31-point swing, by the way. You know how much money he raised and spent? $380,000 to her $2.5 million. We don't need to outraise the Republicans. We just need to be in the ring to fight back, and we're doing that. Of that $105 million that we raised, I want you to think about this. To date, in grassroots donations, people giving $5, $10, $15, $20 a month on average, our contributions in our small dollar program are $51. You know how much we've raised? Over $100 million. That is an all-time record. And what that also shows is that people are willing to invest. It shows that we're raising money from a record amount of people who are giving small contributions. This is a good sign for our party because it shows the energy we have going into this election cycle. So look, with that, it's my honor to introduce our 2 co-chairs of our Budget and Oversight Review Committee, now known internally within the DNC as the BORC Committee. As I said to them this morning, it sounds a little sci-fi to me, but there you go. Listen, I don't want to steal their thunder, but I do want to thank both Chris and Doris for all the time they spent with the team this morning and with me to make this a first-of-its-kind meeting in setting a real budget with real goals and real transparency. And so please welcome our co-National Finance Chair, Chris Lowe, and Budget and Oversight Review Committee Co-Chair, Doris Kraus-Mays. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name's Chris Lowe, and together with my co-chair, Doris Kraus-Mays, I'm very pleased to provide the report of a Budget Oversight and Review Committee to the DNC. He hasn't got me saying balk yet, but I'll get there. This is a special report for me because back in August in Minneapolis, when we passed the Chair's reform package, one of the pieces related to the Budget and Oversight Committee was that it called for a draft DNC budget to be presented to the committee for comment. And at this meeting this morning, we did it. DNC staff presented the draft budget to the members of committee for comment. This is something that has not been done in my 9 years on the committee. And I really want to take a moment to thank the chair and the staff for all the work it took to produce that draft budget and for their ongoing commitment to the transparency in this organization. So I thank you and pass it to my chair, co-chair Doris Kraus-Mays.
Good afternoon. Again, thank you, Chris. I really do want to reiterate just how unprecedented this was. I've been on this committee for a long time, and we have never seen anything like this document presented to us. I want to take this opportunity to thank the chair and the staff for all of their work in making today's meeting successful. Additionally, we held a virtual meeting in early March, which contained a number of other firsts for the committee. After being presented with a detailed report on the DNC's finances, we were joined for the first time for the DNC's finance directors, and they were able to provide us with insight into the major donor programs. After their presentations, the committee was also presented with the newly adopted DNC Conflict of Interest policy by our wonderful General Counsel, Andy Levina, an important new policy that ensures that when the DNC spends money, nobody making these decisions stands to gain personally from it. Thank you. Yes. This new path forward for our committee is exciting, and we are proud to submit this report. Thank you.
The budget and we're not voting on this, are we? No. Thank you so much to both of them. Thank you, Chris and Doris. I appreciate it. Next up, you will now please join me in welcoming the Rules and Bylaws Committee co-chair, Mignon Moore. Before turning it over to her, I'd like to thank both Chair Moore and, of course, Chair Roosevelt for their leadership as co-chairs of the Rules and Bylaws Committee. They are tasked with one of the most important jobs the DNC has, as you know, drafting the rules for how we select the 2028 Democratic presidential nominee. In addition to the calendar, this includes the delegate selection rules, the call to convention, and our RBC regulations. It's an immense amount of work, as you know. And I want to, just as a point of personal privilege, I want to send our best wishes to co-chair Jim Roosevelt as he continues his rehab and his recovery. He's doing well. He wishes he could be here. He'll be at the next one, he assures us all. But, Mignon did an amazing job without her co-partner in this the other day in chairing a very long, very deliberate and thoughtful process. But also, I want to thank Rick Boylan for being her companion and her helper in this meeting. So please welcome the great Mignon Moore.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think I'm going to do a Maxine. I'm going to reclaim some of your time with my report because it is not very long. Hello, Democrats. It's so good to see you. On yesterday, the DNC Rules and Bylaws Committee met to consider the 3 proposed charter and bylaws amendments that were submitted. 2 of those amendments were withdrawn by the sponsors prior to the meeting, and the committee voted against proposing and adopting the other bylaw amendment. In addition to that, while we are not voting on this particular issue, the RBC started the process of reviewing our 2028 delegate selection rules. And if anybody has ever been in our meetings, we go line by line. It's a very, very important process, so I want to thank all the RBC members who sat through the 3 hours worth of meetings yesterday. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I submit my report to the Rules and Bylaws Committee.
Thank you, Mignon. Members, a report has been submitted to you at this moment. Is there, since it does not require a motion it does not require a motion since it's already been submitted by the committee. Is there any discussion at this time? Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the report passes. Thank you, Mignon. Members, please join me in now welcoming our Resolutions Committee, Co-Chair Ron Harris from the great state of Minnesota to deliver the committee's report. Ron.
Good afternoon, Democrats. All right, for those I have not had the chance to meet, my name is Ron Harris, and I am super honored to serve as co-chair of the Resolutions Committee, alongside my co-chair, Yoli Bejarano, who could not make it this week. She left me with the easy work this week, but she's gonna. And I'm here to present the report of our committee's work from yesterday's session. But I want to start with this. The conversation was not always comfortable. There are resolutions before us that carry real political weight and real moral weight as well. Members disagreed and voices were raised, amendments were offered, debated, and in some cases narrowly decided. That is what happened, and I am proud of our members for their participation in this process. I'm proud because the committee did something that I think this party needs a lot more of, not less. We sat in a room together and we heard each other out. We voted, and where we landed through a democratic process that every member on the committee had an equal voice in shaping. I also want to acknowledge that the committee's work included difficult conversations. Not every resolution received the same outcome, and I respect that members in the room may feel strongly about that. The process, similar to democracy, is imperfect. But as leaders, our job is to keep working to make it better, even as we stumble and struggle along the way. Being frustrated with the party comes with the territory. If you've been a Democrat and you've never been frustrated with the party once, stick around a little longer, okay? But like Jesse Jackson said, God is not done with this party yet, and neither am I. So I appreciate the participation. We met yesterday to consider the resolutions included in the Secretary's 14-day mailing. We reviewed 27 message resolutions and 13 commemorative resolutions. They are recommended by the committee for approval by this body. I want to take a moment to name a few, not because the others matter less than these, but because I think it's important for everyone in the room to see the full breadth of what your DNC members brought forward for your consideration. We passed a resolution recognizing the harms associated with ICE and Operation Metro Surge, honoring the lives of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and calling for accountability and constitutional protections. This resolution matters to me personally, of course, because of what happened in my hometown of Minneapolis and how we responded and how you all showed up with us and showed up for us, and we thank you for that. It showed the best, I think, of our humanity. We passed a resolution condemning the influence of dark money in the 2026 Democratic primary elections. Because if we can't protect the integrity of our own primaries, we have no business asking voters to trust the process. We passed a resolution supporting family farmers and ranchers, the people who feed this country and too often get forgotten by both parties. So many of them used to be Democrats, and I believe that we can get them back. We passed a resolution recognizing the role of young people in the Democratic Party. As an almost aged out young Dem myself, the next generation is not waiting for an invitation. They are already here, and we need to act like it. We received and passed an urgent, timely resolution commemorating the legacy of Coral Springs Vice Mayor and Florida Democratic Party Vice Chair Nancy Brown. Nancy was taken from us by gun violence, and I'd ask you to hold her family and her community in your hearts today. And, of course, we passed a resolution honoring the life and the career of Reverend Jesse Jackson, a man who expanded the definition of what's possible for us and in American politics for all of us. Lastly, I want to thank every DNC member who took the time to draft and submit a resolution. Whether it passed or whether it was amended, that act of putting your name on something that you believe in and sending it through a process, that is the institution working its way the way that it's supposed to work. And it deserves our respect, so thank you for submitting those. And I want to thank the DNC staff who supported this process and the members of the committee who showed up and did the work. Mr. Chair, I believe our job is to leave our politics better than it was when we found it, and on behalf of the Resolutions Committee, I move approval of the resolutions as recommended in our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Members, the report has been submitted to you at this point. I want to just also say that this is, it's not an easy role, of course, and I want to thank him and Yoli, the members of the committee, of course, and all the sponsors of the resolutions, and all the thoughtfulness and, of course, the care that everyone put into producing this report. It's important, as Ron said, to have conversations and to continue to be open to those conversations, and I appreciate you, Ron, and the committee having those conversations yesterday. The report has been submitted to you at this point, DNC. At this point, is there any discussion? Okay, member, if you could identify your name and which state you are from. And you're moving to amend? Okay. At this point, yep, it's been moved. There is a second. Thank you. Sham, stay up here for a minute. Okay. So at this point, since a report has been submitted, you would have to actually move to divide the question at this point. And so, okay, someone has moved to divide the question. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to divide the question.
You can grant that because they can clearly stand alone.
Okay. And I will just grant that we are going to divide the question at this point. Okay, now we will.
Vote on the committee's report and hold out 28.
We are going to pull out number 28 at this point. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to divide the question for the purpose of considering amendment number, resolution number 28. All those in favor? Is it open for debate?
No, sir.
Okay, that's fine.
You're going to adopt the committee report without 28.
Yep. I'm sorry, here's what Helen wants me to do, our parliamentarian. What we're going to do first is we are going to approve the report without 28 in it. Does that make sense? Okay. So the first motion is to divide the question. We are going to approve the committee's report without 28. All those in favor of doing that? Okay. It's been moved at this point to also consider resolution number 10 to be divided from the main question. Is there a second? I don't think that's right procedurally, Helen, because here's the deal. I mean, the reality is that we should have a motion on whether or not we want to divide those out first.
You can, and you can vote, if you do that, it'll probably be voted down. And now you what you want.
At this point, what we're going to do is we are going to actually move on the motions to divide these out. And we're going to move them individually before we move to a vote on the report. So at this point, the first motion that was made by Cameron Landon was to divide out Resolution 28. It's been moved and seconded. It's not debatable, correct? So at this point, all those in favor of dividing out, separating out from the main motion, Resolution 28, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. The nays clearly have it. Now the second motion, and if the maker of the motion could rise and mention their name and which state they're from, so we have it for the record.
My name is Cameron Landon. I am from the great state of Georgia.
Thank you.
And I'm also calling to amend resolution number 10 back to the original language.
Okay, thank you, Cameron. And now the same thing. There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to divide out resolution number 10 from the report for consideration. All those in favor of this amendment to divide the question and debate resolution 10 signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Nay. Okay, the nays clearly have it. Thank you. Are there any other amendments to divide the question at this moment? Are there any other amendments to divide the question at this moment? Seeing none, we'll go back to the main report itself. The main report, which is now not amended, is in front of you. Is there any discussion? Is there? It's debate. That is discussion. There can be 3 speeches in favor and 3 speeches against the report as presented. So if you would like to debate, this is the time to do it. Yes, of course you can. And Cameron, just wait a moment so we can get you a microphone, okay? If you would like to speak in favor of the report or against the report, there will be people on the floor with microphones. And you will have 2 minutes, as our standing rules provide, up to 2 minutes for any speech in favor or against the report as presented. And we will just start with Cameron, since he is. If you could come to order, please. Thank you, Cameron. Please come to order.
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
Thank you, Cameron.
You ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Lovely. Very quickly, hello, my name is Cameron Landon. I'm the Vice President of the College Democrats of America. I'm proud DNC member for Georgia. Apologies. Very briefly, I will say resolution number 28 was amendment, as was introduced by the Vice Chair of the High School Democrats of America. Previously, it said abolish ICE. That language was removed. I believe in the immediate abolition of ICE. I believe that is a necessity, and we should be open about that as a party, because there are people demand it. When we're having people taken off of our streets, we're having people killed, we must do something about it. Furthermore, I do believe that we need to explicitly call out where the dark money is coming from. Resolution number 10, which was amended, removed mentions of dark money coming from cryptocurrency and from AI. We need to be specific. You name exactly who is doing it. Furthermore, I do believe that the DNC must recognize the genocide in Gaza, call out And when we call out the evil of the war in Iran, we must also say that arming the co-belligerent powers is wrong. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you to the member from Georgia. Thank you, Cameron. Up next, I see a speaker. Please identify your name and what state you're from.
Steve Kerrigan from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I rise to urge all of my colleagues at the DNC to support this report from the Resolutions Committee. They worked incredibly hard, had really thorough and fantastic discussions, and came to a result that I think this committee should be proud of and should support the members of the Resolutions Committee. We should, of course, stand up and support resolutions. We have now, I guess, 27 messaging resolutions and 13 commemorative ones. We should support calling for a 21st century economic bill of rights. We should honor the lives of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. We should condemn the Trump administration and their tax on education. We should condemn the SAVE Act. We should support same-day voter registration and all these things that these resolutions do. And I think at the end of this meeting, at the end of this discussion, we should all proudly support the committee's report from the Resolutions Committee and advance these resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you to the member from Massachusetts. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay. Oh, okay. Someone is. Go ahead. Okay, Matt, go. We'll give it to Matt first. Go ahead, Matt. Jonah. Jonah. Please introduce yourself, Jonah.
Jonah Garson. I'm the Vice Chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. I'm speaking today for myself, and I'm speaking to folks here as a Jewish Democrat. I was disappointed to see the language singling out AIPAC stripped from the dark money resolution. AIPAC eminently deserves to be singled out. AIPAC as a Jew, as a Jewish Democrat, makes me less safe, and the only threats I've ever gotten politically and professionally have come from folks who are Jewish like me, who are Jewish Americans, who are affiliated with AIPAC or Democratic Majority for Israel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the member from North Carolina. We've now had 2 speeches against and 1 speech for the resolution. And the next speaker over there, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Chair. James Skoufis from the great state of New York. I rise in support of this report. And when we take votes like this, we're voting on what's written down on the paper. We're not voting on what's still in the inkwell. There's been a lot of focus on an issue that is still being worked on by a task force, by this body, by our committees. That's not what we're voting on right now. We're voting on what's before us in this report. And as has been mentioned, what's in this report underscores, highlights all of our democratic values that we all believe in this room. Values like supporting organized labor. Values like making sure that we fight back against the SAVE Act, which does anything but save our democracy. Values like making sure we protect vote by mail. Values like protecting our farmers and our ranchers, who our co-chair of the Resolutions Committee rightly noted feel abandoned by both political parties. These are the values we're voting on. We're not voting on an issue that's still being worked on, that's still in the inkwell. I rise in support. I urge everyone to vote yes.
Thank you to the member from New York. We now have 2 speeches for and 2 speeches against. What is your point of order? And it is not in order at this point. What's that? It is up or down on everything. That is correct. There are 2 speeches in favor, 2 speeches against at this point. Member over there. The member over there at, go ahead, Sandra.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Sandra Lee Williams from the great state of Georgia. I am also a labor unionist with the Retail Wholesale Department Store Union. And I rise fight back against dark money. But yesterday, the Resolutions Committee voted to pass a resolution condemning corrosive influence of all dark money, not a specific dark money, all dark money, in the Democratic primaries and passing a blanket repudiation. Our party's position on this is clear. We want dark money out of politics and out of the Democratic primaries. And that's exactly what the resolution passed at the meeting stands for. As Elizabeth Warren commented yesterday, after the passage, the resolution is an important step in the fight to get big money out of politics. I urge you all to join me in supporting this adoption of the report. Thank you.
Thank you to the member from Georgia. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? I do see a delegate over there. This will be the last speech. Please identify yourself.
Hello, my name is Zayed Kadir. I am the chair of the High School Democrats of America and a delegate from New York. I am speaking against. The Resolution 10, the original intent of the resolution, was to name AI and crypto as they are the forces actively fighting against working people in this election cycle. The amendments made to the resolution strips those names out, giving those industries cover instead of standing behind the American people. It's a hard thing to defend Democrats when we are seeing Democratic candidates side with crypto and AI, spending tens of millions of dollars to win Democratic primaries instead of listening to American people. The resolving clauses are identical. Nothing changes in what we are doing, but rather whether we are honest about who we are fighting for. I urge you to choose the side of the American people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, per our standing rules, we have exhausted debate. We will now call the question. All those in favor of approving the credentials report as submitted, say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's a resolutions report. All those in favor of approving the resolutions report as submitted, signify by saying aye. All those opposed, say nay. The resolutions report passes. Thank you so much to all the members on the committee for their work. Thank you. Thank you. Members. Yes, thank you. That's a fair point. Thank you, member, for that. Next time we will have mic stands for those of you to come up. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay, with that, it is my honor now to introduce our next guest, a good friend of mine and a former mayor of this great city of New Orleans, Mark Morial, who now serves as a CEO of the National Urban League. And he is here in his own personal time because he loves this party. He's served this party. He continues to help build this party all around the country. From his transformative tenure as the mayor of New Orleans to his visionary leadership as a president and CEO of the National Urban League, Mark has been a relentless champion for the underserved and a powerful voice for the civil rights in the 21st century. Please welcome my friend, former mayor of this great city, Mark Morial.
Thank you very much, Ken. Good afternoon. I want to be absolutely clear that I'm a recovering lawyer and a recovering politician. But I'm here today solely in my individual capacity, not as president and CEO of the National Urban League, a nonpartisan civil rights organization, but in my personal capacity. I'm here because of my great concern about the status and the future of this nation. I'm here to welcome you to New Orleans, which would be the absolute best place to hold the 2028 Democratic National Convention. And I'm here because New Orleans is the greatest city on earth except your hometown. But let me tell you also, to qualify for those of you who I am. I served 8 years as mayor of this city. And before that, as a Louisiana state senator. But before me, in 1968, my late great father, for whom the convention center is named, served as the first African-American delegate from Louisiana to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. But very importantly, when the governor of the state at the time chose him as a delegate, he refused by saying, "I will not be the token one," and that there needed to be a number of African-American delegates, and the number then became 4-6. In '68, he became the first black person elected to public office when he became a member of the Louisiana State Legislature since Reconstruction. He later served as this city's first African-American mayor. Between his time serving as a delegate to the Democratic National Convention and my time serving 7 times as a delegate to the Democratic National Convention, our family was a delegate to the Democratic National Convention continuously from 1968 to 2004. And so I want everyone to know from where I come. I also want all of you to know that it was when I served as mayor of this city that this state twice went for Bill Clinton, and that we elected John Breaux, J. Bennett Johnston, and Mary Landrieu to the United States Senate. Now, why am I here? This nation today has misplaced priorities. Since the year 2000, we have spent $25 trillion on wars. When Bill Clinton left office, he ushered in a budget that was balanced. What the Republican Party has given us is huge tax cuts, followed by wars, followed by deficits and recessions. In 1992, Bill Clinton came in and cleaned it up. In 2000, George W. Bush came in and messed it up. And it was a cycle of wash, rinse, and repeat. When Barack Obama was elected to the presidency in 2008, the country had gone from surplus to deficit, from peace to war. And there came Barack Obama and cleaned up George Bush's mess. When he left office and left a growing economy, the Orange Man claimed that it was his economy and took credit for Barack Obama's growing economy. And when he left office, the same pattern prevailed. An explosive deficit and a COVID recession that Joe Biden came in and cleaned up. Today, the wash, rinse, repeat cycle is repeating. From a growing economy in 2024 to now a stagnant economy, job losses, an exploding deficit, and another war. Another war. And deficits higher than ever before in American history. What is the challenge for the Democratic Party today? The Democratic Party must embrace its history as the party of economic opportunity. It must embrace its history as the party of equal justice. It must embrace its history as the party of democracy and voting rights. It's just that simple. And this party has strayed from a clear and unambiguous message to an insane debate over whether it would be about affordability or democracy. Without a commitment to democracy, you can't get the public policy agenda of affordability. This party has strayed into another insane debate as to whether we are progressives or we are moderates. This party is not truly a party. This party is a coalition. From the time of Franklin Delano Roosevelt to Kennedy and Johnson, to Clinton and Carter and Obama and Biden, this party has represented the whole American family. The American family, not whether it's going to be a focus on black voters or white working class voters, but whether it's going to be a party that embraces the entire American family. Black people and white people and Hispanics and Asians and indigenous Americans, urban, suburban, and rural, rich and poor and very poor, LGBT and straight, and whatever your gender identity, and whatever your belief system is, or you have no belief system when it comes to religion. This party must re-embrace its identity as a party with open doors and a big tent for everyone. And here's why. That is what is the future of America. And this party must reject, and its candidates must reject the idea that, well, we need to focus more on this one versus that one. We need to focus on everybody, the whole American family. And when I look at this room, that's what I see, the American family. Everybody in the tent, on the boat, pushing forward for the future of this America. It's not Make America Great. It's America for all, an America that represents all Americans. And this party is in a mini crisis because it has strayed from that ethos. When it won in 32 or 60 or 76 or 92 or 2008 or 2020, it's because it embraced every aspect of the American family. And those candidates who want to run, who want to lead, who want to represent, have to re-embrace that ethos. There's been the imposition of false choices between progressives and moderates, working class. There's been a false choice imposed of us by the chattering class, by those in the media and the political prognosticators. We have to embrace, and this party must embrace, its ethos as a party for all Americans. And that takes a tremendous amount of work. And it means the family is messy. There's going to be discussions. There's going to be debate. There's going to be disagreements. And maybe in the party, everyone will not agree on every policy position. But you can't win. You can't win if you are divided. And a political party does not exist to engage in just intellectual warfare. It doesn't exist to simply engage in public policy debate. It exists to achieve power and win elections. And if you're not committed to winning, then you have no place. So today, this Democratic Party is like a beautiful rose made up of many petals. And all those petals must remain intact to be able to win an election. Or this party is like a wonderful New Orleans bowl of gumbo. with everything added in and adding more, and you make it better. Or this party is like what Reverend Jesse Jackson called the rainbow, of all people, everywhere. And we have to embrace that framing and that ethos if we are going to be successful at the ballot box in 26 and 28. Now let me get real about black voters and the role we play in the Democratic coalition. African American voters are the most reliable, fundamental, foundational bloc to the Democratic coalition. And that is not to cast aspersions or diminish the role of anyone. But here is the truth. In 2008, when Barack Obama won the presidency, 64% of African American voters turned out. When he ran for re-election, 69% of African American voters turned out. When 2016 came, 59% of African American voters turned out, and you know the result. You think for a minute that turnout higher by 5 to 7% would have made the difference in Detroit, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Madison, Flint, and Michigan, and Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and Wisconsin? 2020 came along. Joe Biden achieved a 64% African American turnout. And election night was celebratory, and the orange man had been kicked from office. 2024 comes around. Kamala Harris runs. Guess what the African American turnout was? Back down to 59%. Back down to 59%. And you know the result. You don't need to be a pollster, a data expert, an AI guru to understand some basic fundamentals. The same holds true for the Latino community and other base vote communities. So why does this happen? This happens because this party respectfully has not had a plan and a funded plan on a consistent basis to turn out its base voters. A plan that is funded, a plan that is energized, a plan that is inclusive, and a plan that's designed to win. It's a missing dynamic. One thing you can do is insist and demand that in 26 going forward, there be a plan. I'm speaking specifically about African American voters, but I will tell you the same holds true for other communities. And when we're in an environment of Russian interference, bots, and campaigns of disinformation and dissuasion targeted at our community. It's 2016, the Russians ran a campaign online, posing as activists, saying to African American young voters, don't waste your vote and don't vote. I know it. My teenage son showed me all of the ads that were in his phone. 2020, they tried the same thing. 2024, they did the same thing. What do you expect to see come September, October, and November this year? A campaign on steroids, on the phone, targeted to specific voters to discourage them from participating and to create abject confusion in this environment. We need a plan. Number two, related to that, you all got to get the hogs away from the trough of consulting. Too many hogs have been parked at the trough. And if they delivered victories, I love them. But if you can't deliver a victory, you are fired. Get out of here. I don't want to see you again. Consultants and experts should be judged on performance. Nothing else. Not on friendship, not on connections, not on aw shucks. So where we are, to summarize, this nation has misplaced priorities. And what we should be talking about is right-sizing those priorities. $25 trillion on wars. Take $2.5 trillion, and you could have fixed the affordable housing crisis. Take $4 trillion, and you'd fix the health care crisis. Take another $2, and you put every kid in community college or play for 2 years of college. And you still have money left over. We still have money left over. And these fiscal policies, I say everyone running in 26 should say, repeal and replace the big, ugly bill. So this is where we are. And I come to you with great sincerity as someone that has been in a celebratory mood on the night of 1992, and a dejected mood in 2000 and 2004, and a celebratory mood in 2008 and 12 and 20, and in a pissed off mood in 2016 and 2024. Ken, thank you. Jamie, Donna, my friends who've led this party in the past, other leaders. The power's in our hand. And make no mistake about it. Don't believe the hype that 26 is a fait accompli. Don't believe the hype that 2026 is a fait accompli, because the opposition is coming with ferocity and fear. And they're coming with ferocity and fear and the money of their billionaire buddies. And they're not likely to play fair. They're likely to disinform, misinform, hit below the belt, play every game possible because they're desperate. Because they know and understand if the tide shifts, it may be a long-term shift. We're fed up and we're fired up. I believe that the power is there, but we have to focus on base vote. We have to focus on turnout. We got to focus on organizing back in the communities, in wards, in precincts, in public housing, in urban, suburban, and rural. It's not urban versus suburban. It's not suburban versus rural. It's everyone in the great Democratic coalition. So I appreciate you. Let's say no to complacency and yes to coalition building. No to apathy and yes to a sensible agenda. And let's say no to defeat and yes to victory. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the mayor. Thanks for those powerful words. DNC members, our next guest is truly a powerhouse of modern advocacy and a vital voice for millions across the country. And I got to tell you, he's a community organizer. He's a digital trailblazer. He has fundamentally changed how we communicate the realities of the immigrant experience. He has become a primary source of news and hope for a generation, earning him the nickname the one-man Telemundo for his incredible ability to inform, to engage, and mobilize his community at a moment's notice. He reminds us that the power to change the narrative is right in our hands, literally, right in our hands. And I want to tell you, this guy has over 20 million followers. He has more people who follow him than most major news channels in this country. He is a force of nature, someone who's bringing hope to millions of people in this country every single day and communicating in an authentic way that brings people into the conversation. Please join me in giving me a massive welcome to Carlos Espina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me and for giving me the opportunity to share my story. Because I'm going to be honest, if you told me a few years ago when I was in high school and I began advocating for my community and speaking on the issues that I cared about, that one day I would be addressing rooms like this one, I wouldn't believe it. But here I am, so I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed. However, before I begin, I want to thank those who made my presence possible. I want to start with my friend and mentor and former DNC Chair, Tom Perez, who opened the door in many of these spaces for me. So thank you very much. I want to thank the current chair, Ken Martin, for the great introduction and also for allowing me to be here, and also Roger Lau and everyone else at the DNC who saw the vision of having a content creator, a TikToker speak in front of all of you. Now, for those of you who don't know me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. People usually identify me as a content creator, a social media personality, an influencer, but I see myself as something a little bit different. Yes, I have over 23 million followers across platforms, and yes, people follow me because I make engaging and relatable content. But more than that, people follow me because I meet them where they're at, I speak in terms that they understand, and I address the issues that they care about. Because you see, before I was a content creator, I was an advocate for my people, addressing injustice everywhere and whenever I saw it. Growing up in College Station, Texas, if there's anyone here from Texas, disheartened by the injustice and the inequality I saw around me, I realized that my calling in life was to help my community. When I was in high school, I began working, tutoring, and mentoring students who recently arrived to the United States and didn't know English. That then became lessons of teaching citizenship classes over the weekend and doing other nonprofit work. At 18 years old, I founded my first nonprofit, providing free summer soccer camp for low-income kids in Bryan College Station. And then 2 years later, when I was in college, I founded my second nonprofit, writing letters and sending money to thousands of immigrants detained in ICE detention centers all throughout the country. The more I did and the more I saw how it helped, the more I wanted to do it. My goal after graduating college in 2020 was to dedicate myself to my nonprofit work. I had it all figured out. I was going to graduate college, go to work at a nice nonprofit, and then make people's lives better. But as you know, in 2020, the pandemic hit, and then everything changed. Unable to organize in person, I was forced to take my advocacy online. That's when I began posting informative and community-oriented content in Spanish on TikTok. And while I had no real understanding of how social media worked, I quickly grew. My direct and candid content resonated with millions and touched the hearts of people all across this country. Today, I am the most followed Latino community leader in the United States, and because of this, I feel a duty to do more good than ever, to make a difference, to not just complain about the problems we are facing, but to take real steps to fix them. Now, what does this look like? In 2008, then Senator Barack Obama electrified our politics by harnessing the power of social media to build community. Since 2008, the importance of social media has only gotten bigger. And my hope is that as Democrats, we not only embrace new and emerging tools to organize and communicate, but understand what people want and how we actually win on social media. And that's where many people get it wrong. While I am a Democrat and my audience is very well aware of that, that's not necessarily why they follow me. The reality is, not many people care about the labels. They care about the actions and the results. So if you were to ask any of the working class people across the country who follow me, including many of the service staff who is working this event today, why they actually follow me, none of them are going to tell you because he's a Democrat. Instead, you will hear things like, he helps other people, he cares about our community, he listens and understands us. Essentially, in the eyes of millions, I embody and represent the values that made the Democratic Party what it is today. A party that puts regular people over the rich and powerful. A party of good people who give you a hand when you are down. A party that believes that we are stronger when we uplift one another. And I have to be real, unfortunately, many feel that we have strayed from these values. The sense on the ground of millions of people is that the Democratic Party has become the party of the elites and the rich and the powerful, not of the working class. A party that folds on everything and stands for nothing. And while much of this perception is due to a well-funded right-wing online influencer operation dedicated to tearing Democrats down, the reality is that we also have to do our part. As Democrats, we just can't say that we are morally superior to the other side. We have to show that we are with every action that we take. People want actions. They don't want words. Therefore, we can't just be the party of statements and letters. We can't just hide behind the line of, oh, we're not in power, to excuse a lack of action. We can't just sit back while our country and our communities are under attack. Instead, we must lead by example. Lead like Mark Kelly did this weekend when he managed to get the wife of a U.S. Army sergeant released from ICE detention. We must lead like Delia Ramirez, I don't know if she's still here, when she became the first member of Congress to call on Kristi Noem to resign many months ago before anyone was talking about it. We need to lead like Gavin Newsom did when he pushed back on my governor's antics and passed Proposition 50 in California. We need to lead like other members, Ro Khanna did when he forced legislation to release the Epstein files. We need to lead like elected Democrats have from the positions and have done so relentlessly among the injustices that we face. And so now my ask to you as members is very simple. As DNC members, you are aware that you are critical to the infrastructure that helps move the party and our country forward. Without you and the work that you do, our democracy would not be the same. You are important and you matter. But beyond your roles in the party, you are valuable leaders in your communities. Because I know how y'all are, and I'm sure that being a member of the DNC is not the only role that you have. You are volunteers at local nonprofits. You are leaders of mutual aid initiatives. You are the neighbor that people turn to when they need help. You are the ones that hit the streets when ICE began terrorizing our communities. You're the ones who mobilized when Trump began trampling on our Constitution. You are the ones who continue to register and mobilize voters despite the constant suppression. So I am not here to tell you what to do because you already know what to do. Instead, I am here to encourage you to continue doing what you're already doing. Because when people see Democrats standing up for our values, when they see us being good people, when they see us giving a helping hand, we win. People are not dumb. They know we are going through a difficult moment. And I guarantee you when they go vote in November, they're going to remember who helped them get up when they were down. So just know that the work you are doing here and the work you are doing every single day matters. It matters for Americans in big cities and small towns, in red states and in blue states, and everywhere in between. It matters to the immigrant families who are living in fears, and it matters to the families who are living paycheck to paycheck. It matters to the kids who just simply want a better future. Your work matters. And ultimately, that's why I'm here. Because despite the horrible moment we are living in, I believe that better times will come. Yeah. Over the past year, like many of you, seeing what our country and our community faces, I've been sad, I've been frustrated, I've cried, I've felt depressed, I've wondered, where is this all gonna go? But then I come to places like this and I see y'all debating about everything and, feeling energetic, and I realize, wow, we live in a beautiful country and we live in a beautiful democracy, and there is a light at the end of this tunnel. So I come here to places like this, and amidst the debate and everything, I recover my strength and my optimism because I see all of you, and despite everything, you're still hopeful, you're still full of joy, you still feel like things can change. And I feel that all these horrible things that we have been subjected to have only made us stronger as a community. They've made us stronger as a state, they've made us stronger as a country, and they've made us stronger as a party. All this collective suffering has brought us together because we have realized that the only way to overcome the collective suffering we are going through is collective and compassionate action. So today, I see a Democratic Party more grassroots and more energized than ever. A party and its memberships who, following this meeting, will go back to their communities and not only help our neighbors, but get our candidates elected up and down the ballot. A party that will go back to Texas and elect my friends James Tallarico and Gina Hinojosa. A party that will go back to North Carolina and flip that Senate seat and get Roy Cooper elected. A party that will go back to Georgia and re-elect John Ossoff. A party that, regardless of your state, will go back home and use the tools that we have been given for good to make a difference and to win, because as they said before me, we can't really do much if we don't win. So we got to go out there and win. And just to close, there's a saying that I've come to appreciate and I want to leave all of you with. To be something you've never been, you have to do things that you've never done. As Democrats, we are starting to recognize that we have an opportunity on our hands to capture this moment and lead with courage and conviction into the future. We've done it before, and we can do it again. We can do it in person, we can do it on social media, and we can do it with everything in between. So let's show this country what our party stands for, and let's get the job done. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it for Carlos Espina, everybody. Yay, Carlos. Okay, we're almost done, guys. I know you're tired and need some food, but we got a couple of speakers left, and I want you to stick around, please. Look, while the president is throwing our country into another endless war, we all agree on a fundamental truth. We must never let our disagreements overshadow our duty to the men and women wearing the uniform. We must support them. We must support them while they are in harm's way, and we must have the same resolute support for them when they come home. And that is why a veteran's voice in the halls of power is not just important, it is essential in this moment. Our next guest understands that responsibility better than anyone. Before he was a congressman, he was an Army Ranger who earned a Bronze Star for his service in Iraq. He understands the cost of conflict and why in our democracy it is so important to have Congress authorize military actions, because we should not be at the whims of a madman in the White House making that call. DNC, please welcome my friend from the great state of Colorado, Congressman Jason Crow.
Thank you, Chair Martin, and all the officers. Where are my Coloradans at? Where's the Colorado? There we go. Loud and proud, Colorado. Really good to be with all of you here. Thank you for the invitation. And nothing will make you be appreciative to be in a room like this than not being in prison. Because Donald Trump literally tried to throw me in prison, along with several of my fellow members of Congress in February. My crime, filming a video reminding our service members to follow the law in the Constitution. So he threatened us with arrest, with treason, with execution, and then he sent his political cronies after us at Department of Justice, and they tried to indict us. But what we know is that his attempt to do that wasn't about us, and it wasn't about the video. It was about him trying to send a message to Americans everywhere that you should not step out of line. You should not speak up. That the cost of dissent will be too high for anyone to bear. So you better sit down. Well, we just weren't going to allow him to send that message. So we pushed back, and we fought back. See, Donald Trump is counting on something. He's counting on fear being contagious. That fear will spread, and people will step back and opt out of the system. But what we know is that more contagious than fear is courage. While we see elites and privileged and people in high places of power in America buckle and cow, CEOs bending the knee, media conglomerates cowing, big universities and law firms capitulating, we see that, and it's hard to see. It's grotesque at times. But our story and the story of our country now is not about them. It never has been and it never will be. The story of our country in America now is the story of millions of Americans stepping up every day with millions of acts of courage and saying, "Not on my watch." Minnesotans holding the line, literally, to protect their community and their neighbors and their friends. Millions of Americans stepping up in No Kings protests to be heard, to mobilize. That is the story of this moment. But all of that energy, that enthusiasm, does not belong to us as a party. Right? That is America's energy and enthusiasm. We can't just sit and expect that to translate to electoral victories and campaigns. This party, our party, still has to earn it. And we have to earn it by first acknowledging hard truths. That in years past, we haven't delivered. You can't look at November of '24, where we lost 90% of U.S. counties, vast swaths of this country, working class America and rural America, and say we're killing it. Right? People need to hear it from us. Humility and honesty, that we have fallen short. And we are going to take it seriously, and we are going to earn their trust. Because I, for one, am tired of stumbling from election cycle to election cycle and just eking out victories. Or not, for that matter. This is my 5th election cycle, and every single one, I've said this is the most important of my lifetime, and every single time I've been right. It has to stop. What we need is not just an election cycle win, but we need to spark a movement in this country. We need a movement of everybody, like-minded Republicans, independents, Democrats, people just working, trying to get by, who are willing to join us. We must spark an era of new American patriotism, where the next generation of servant leaders will step up, put their country and community first, and help us fight and win. But we have to acknowledge the shortcomings. We have to come to them with humility, and we have to listen first. And we must be very, very clear. We have no interest in going back. We are not here to rebuild a system that did not deliver for young folks, that did not deliver for working class Americans. If people believe that Donald Trump is the reason for all of this, they're not paying attention. Donald Trump is a symptom of the problem, and he took advantage of it. He lied to people, and he is corrupt, and he is making it worse. But our job is to recognize that working class Americans have been crushed. They have taken the burden of our endless wars and conflict. They have done our fighting and dying, the people that I grew up with and fought with. They have financed these wars. They have seen the elites and the powerful get wealthy, while their situation has gotten worse and worse. The corruption will end, and it doesn't matter, by the way, what letter behind the name has. If somebody's going to steal from my people, if somebody's going to be corrupt, we are coming after them. We are cleaning everybody's house. So it is time to take it back. The new generation of leaders is here. They're stepping up. I couldn't be more proud to be in this fight with all of you. We will get it done. It'll be hard. It'll be harder than any of us could possibly imagine. But leadership is not easy. This country deserves it. I'm proud to be an American. I am proud to be a Democrat, and we are going to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you to our congressman, our good friend there. I tell you, his voice is so powerful. I appreciate all he's doing traveling the country to get that word out. Now it is my distinct honor to introduce our last speaker, and I'm really, really excited to hear from her today because this leader is quite literally shaping the future of our party. As the president of the Young Democrats of America, our next guest embodies that spirit. She is the driving force behind a new generation of a political engagement, proving that age is not a barrier to influence. It is a catalyst for it. From healthcare equity to social justice, she doesn't just talk about change. She's organizing it. She's ensuring that the diverse voices of young Americans are not just heard, but are leading the conversation at every level of government. She's a strategist, a trailblazer, a fierce advocate for a more inclusive future. Please help me welcome my friend, my partner in this work, the president of the YDA, Fatima Hayward.
Thank you. Well, good evening, Democrats. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if you know, but the Young Democrats are in the house. We are so thrilled to be able to host our spring meeting alongside the DNC meeting. The Young Democrats of America was founded in 1932, and in 2026, we are stronger than ever. We are rechartering chapters and strengthening support across regions and reimagining what it looks like to take action and bring about real change. During these challenging times, it is the youth voice and civic participation that will help us get this country back on track. Let me be clear, Young Democrats are not waiting for our turn. We are not the leaders of tomorrow, we are the leaders of today. We are organizing, running, winning, and fighting right now in every corner of the country. And that's exactly why the Young Democrats of America exists, to make sure that when decisions are made about the future, our health care, the economy, the environment, immigrant rights, LGBTQ+ rights, disability rights, about democracy itself, the people who will live the longest with those decisions have a voice in making them. But let me speak to everyone in this room for a moment because this fight belongs to all of us. The Democratic Party has always been at its best when it's remembered who it was built for. Not the powerful, not the privileged, not the donors in penthouses or the lobbyists in the hallways. This party was built for the factory worker and the farmhand, the teacher and the nurse, the single mom working 2 jobs, and the veteran who came home and just needed someone to fight for them the way they fought for us. That is our coalition. That is our identity. And that is what we are here to defend. We are not a party of one generation. We are a party of a shared belief that government can be a force for good, that every person deserves dignity and opportunity, and that we are stronger together than we will ever be apart. And right now, that belief is under assault. Because here's what young people see clearly, even when Washington tries to muddy the waters. The Republican Party is not governing, it is looting. They are raiding the institutions our grandparents built. They are dismantling protections our parents fought for. And they are handing the bill, every last cent of it, to us. Young people are inheriting rising costs, a destabilized climate, student debt, a housing market that laughs at our faces, and a democracy that is being stress tested every single day. But this isn't just a young person's crisis. When working families can't afford groceries, that's everyone's crisis. When seniors are told their Medicare and Social Security are on the chopping block, that's everyone's crisis. When teachers are told what they can and cannot teach, and when doctors are told what care they can and cannot provide, that is a crisis that touches every single one of us, regardless of age. We see it, we feel it, and we are done being polite about it. But here's where I want to be really honest with everyone in this room, because every Democrat deserves honesty from their party, not just applause lines. We have work to do together. Rebuilding this party doesn't start with the next presidential election. It starts with the next school board meeting, the next council race, the next state legislative district that everyone wrote off. Young Democrats know this because we live it. We are those candidates. We are those organizers. We are knocking those doors. But we cannot do it alone, and we don't want to. We need the seasoned organizer who remembers how we won before, sitting alongside the first-time volunteer who just turned 18. We need the longtime precinct captain and the college student who just launched their first voter registration drive. We need the wisdom of experience and the urgency of youth in the same room, working the same plan towards the same goal. That is what a real party looks like. That is what a winning party looks like. What we need, what Democrats across the country are asking for, is a party that shows up for us before it needs something from us. A party that is present in our communities in off years, not just election years. A party that trusts its people, young and old, to lead, not just volunteer. Because when you invest in people, here's what you get. You get the most digitally connected generation in history who also still believes in the old-fashioned power of a real conversation. You get a generation that has known nothing but crisis and turned it into purpose. You get young people who grew up in the shadow of a Great Recession, a pandemic, a student debt catastrophe, and a January 6th insurrection, and still chose democracy, still chose this party. And you get the veterans of this movement, the Democrats who have been knocking doors since before some of us were born, who know that nothing worth having comes easy, and who refuse to quit. So, to Chairman Kim Martin, to our vice chairs, to every leader gathered here today, the Young Democrats of America stand with you, ready to do the work. And I want to personally thank you for showing up for us and prioritizing the voice of young people. And to every Democrat in this room and watching at home, we need you standing with us too. Not just winning the argument, winning elections, winning majorities, winning a future that is worthy of every person counting on us to deliver it. To every young Democrat here, whether you're in a blue city or a red county, whether you run for office or you just casted your first vote, this party needs you. And to every Democrat who has been in this fight for years, who is tired but still showing up, thank you. We see you, we honor you, and we are right here beside you. The other side is counting on us to be divided. They are counting on us to be demoralized. They are counting on us to give up. Let's make sure they are very, very wrong. And before I close, one more time, young Democrats, are you here? Thank you. Let's get to work.
Oh, that was amazing. Now that's how we close a meeting, I'll tell you. Now, before we close out today, I want to recognize our fantastic secretary, Jason Ray, for any announcements. Secretary Ray.
All right, well, I know that we've got a full day tomorrow, and folks are excited, but I am excited to share the date and location of our summer DNC meeting. We'll be gathering August 13th to 15th in the great city of Austin, Texas. Mr. Chair, that's all we have for announcements.
I heard Dennis Bates said he's going to bring us out for some good Austin, Texas barbecue when we're there, right? Okay, good. Look, here we go, guys. I ask that you please rise if you're able and join me in welcoming our colleague and our member from the great state of New York, Bishop Leah Daughtry, to close us with the benediction. So.
Before we begin in prayer, we ask for a moment of silence for our dear friend, the 16-term congressman from the great state of New York, Elliot Engel, who passed away just a couple of hours ago. Gracious God, source of every freedom we have fought for, foundation of every justice we have not yet won, we come before you at the end of this gathering, tired but not broken, clear-eyed about what we face, and still stubbornly full of hope. We will not pretend, Holy One, that these are easy days. Rights that generations bled for are being stripped away in the light of day. Courts are being captured. Ballots are being suppressed. The vulnerable are being used as political props by the powerful. Children are going hungry while billionaires are getting tax cuts. Immigrants who built this nation are being hunted in it. And we, your people, are called to stand in the gap. So, Lord, we ask you to fortify our resolve, make our spine strong enough to hold the weight of this moment. Make our voices loud enough to be heard over the noise of fear and fury. Make our coalitions wide enough to include everyone this movement is for. People of every color, every background, every gender, young, old, native born and newly arrived, queer and straight, rich enough and barely making it. Remind us that democracy has never been given. It has always been taken, claimed, demanded, and defended. Keep us from the seductions of despair, because despair is a luxury we cannot afford and a lie we will not believe. Keep us from the comfort of cynicism, because cynicism is just defeated idealism wearing a cool disguise. And keep us from the trap of fighting each other when the enemy is out there in plain sight. Challenge us, God, yes, challenge us to do more than post, to do more than protest, to organize, to register, to knock on doors, to show up, to run for office, to give, to sacrifice, to be the kind of people that history will look back on and say, they showed up when it mattered most. We leave this room carrying the torch of everyone who came before us, from the suffragists to the freedom riders, from Fannie Lou Hamer's weary feet to John Lewis's bloodied forehead, from Dolores Huerta kneeling in the fields of California, teaching us that Si Se Puede is not just a slogan, it is a theology. From Grace Lee Boggs in Detroit and Patsy Mink breaking open the doors of Congress, showing us that this democracy belongs to all of us or it belongs to none of us. From the elders of our Native community who never stopped fighting for sovereignty and survival, even when this nation turned its back on every promise it made. And God, today we give thanks for the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who ran toward the presidency when others told him to stay in his lane, who built the Rainbow Coalition when they said the colors didn't go together, who taught a whole generation that our time has come. We receive his legacy as a living charge. We are not first to face a turning point, and we will not be last to turn it toward the light. So send us from this place, oh God. Send us out fired out and clear-headed. Send us out with love fierce enough to fight with and wide enough to win with. Send us out knowing that the arc of the moral universe does not bend on its own. We have to bend it. This nation is worth the fight. Our people are worth the fight. The future is worth the fight. Amen. Amen. Now let's get to work.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you, Leah. Members, our business is now completed, and I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Wait, I didn't hear you. Okay, so moved. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. We are now adjourned. Thank you so much. We'll see you in